Dr. Pepper Zero.
That's right.
Emphasize.
Emergency. Emergency. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me and I'll show you what you want to see. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me if you need some love and ecstasy. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me and I'll show you what you want to see. You can call me.
Yeah,
Some
with the
chocolate-
Coke Zero to bring it up to 100. Quickly.
But then I saw your Frappuccino. If I had known Frappuccino was one of the options,
You should have said Starbucks.
well, I didn't know that. When somebody says, "What do you want to drink?" I'm not thinking like this is a full bar here. I have some stories to tell you about bars, though. Oh my gosh,
Right on.
yeah.
We're ready, Bandit.
We're on.
Oh well, yes,
Okay.
we've been on, and people are listening to us talk
Oh,
about this dribble
That's right.
here.
Oops. Well, gotta have my
This is
boy right
pre-show.
here.
It's pre-show.
Pre-show.
Well, it's not official until the intro plays, right?
Right on.
Or did the intro play? You don't have an intro for your page or for Insta, right? Only for Twitch.
Only for Twitch.
Only for
okay.
Twitch.
So you need to get an
We're
intro.
trying to, yeah.
I'll help you step up your game.
Right on, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
These are cool coasters, little records.
That's it. Vinyl.
You know, in fact, I had some of these. I had a birthday party. My wife's had a surprise birthday party, and it was all 50s themed. I'm like, I am not that old. But anyway, she had 50s themes, and so she had cool little things like this.
But you look like
hanging.
Buddy Holly.
Thanks. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Ladies and gentlemen, season 2, Behind the Headphones.
Really, you got through
episode 9.
season 1?
Yeah.
How many episodes?
18.
Really? Wow.
I think
Dude, we have people hitting us up. We're stoked for this year, too.
Really?
Yeah.
I think if
impressive.
we didn't take so many breaks in the summer, we would probably have at least 3
Oh,
4
yeah, you gotta
more.
be consistent.
because he's family. I'm not. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He's still got children to take care of, soccer games,
All right.
soccer practice, all that good stuff. And I
Are you a
respect
coach?
all of that.
No, I've been asked a lot of times, but no.
Just soccer parent.
Yeah,
Okay. How old is your boy or girl?
I have 2 boys and 1 girl, and
And they all play soccer?
no, just my 2 boys.
Okay.
But yeah, it's crazy on Saturdays, because I'm on one side of town, and then I'm heading out.
That's right.
Or sometimes we got to leave a game early, and it's like, wow, Saturdays are busy.
Yeah.
And then
Well, at least it's only Saturdays. What about practices during the week?
2-3 times a week.
Okay. Yeah.
So-
That's it. It's a commitment. That's for sure.
Yep.
All right. Just so I understand, did I interrupt you by your way?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Yes. No. Don't.
I can talk. I can talk.
Don't worry,
man.
sir.
He took over our show, though.
Yeah, I'm just going to go like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Behind the Headphones,
Behind the Headphones.
Season 2, Episode
19.
19. How many episodes will there be in Season 2?
We're probably going to shoot it around the same mark because, like he says, he still has a lot of stuff in his plate too. I got to respect all dates.
All right.
Sometimes we have to postpone just because.
Okay.
But people our guests are cool with it. We go with the flow. We try to accommodate everybody. Like Paul Explosion will not be here today.
Okay.
Because his work.
So does that mean we talk for 2 hours instead of just
we're
one?
going to have Evan here for a little bit. Yeah, but we're going to definitely talk.
Well, you tell me, how long are we talking? Because I have to figure out how long my stories are that I'm going to tell.
We have about an hour.
An hour. Okay. All right. What time's it now? All right. 15 after. Got it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Frank Lozano from Power 106. If you remember back in the heyday.
Formerly of Power
There
106. There you go.
Formerly. Put that big word in there.
That's
like
right.
a used car. Frank Lozano, everybody.
Hello. Thank you. So I'd like... Thank you. I'd like to know a little bit more about you guys, though, and how this show came to be, because I got to give you mad props. We are literally in a dining room right now. This is the dining table that we're talking on, right?
We just moved the plates from kitchen, so.
But because of technology, you're able to do this right here in your house. And that was going to be one of the first things I want to talk about is how cool is it that you can do this with all the gear. We have phones set up. We have circle lights. How do my eyes look in circle lights? Oh, probably not good with my glasses.
Yeah.
But you can do this. You have your mixer, your laptop. Mm-hmm. You could broadcast live. When I was on the radio, I was at Power 106. I started January 12th, 1989 until 2002. I think it was September of 2002. You wouldn't have been able to do anything like this.
Correct.
Back then. I mean, you had to be on the radio if you wanted to be broadcast. In fact, nowadays, you guys have your podcast. I don't know if you have replays or anything. But
he takes care of everything.
But a lot of podcasts, you can go back and watch episode 1, season.
He's got that.
Season 2 or last season. Back then, when we were on the air, once it went out, it went out.
Yeah,
that was it. There's never any replays. You couldn't hear the best of Frank Lozano or the best of Baker Boys or whatever. That wasn't around back then. But I really applaud you guys and the setup you have here. How did this show start? I'd like to know that for somebody who's just watching for the very first time.
So back in 2020, I was involved with another crew. Won't say his name, but we were thinking out of the box because he had I called his place the Compound, right? And we would go over there and we would mix it up and we would start inviting DJs. And so as we're inviting DJs, I said to myself, it'd be cool if we want to interview some of these guys. And after we interview them, we'll have them do a mix.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're not expecting me to mix tonight,
Oh,
right?
yeah, no.
Oh, no, please don't.
Wait, you didn't bring vinyl?
We were just talking about it.
No, can I tell you? I have so many pieces of vinyl, it's not even funny. I recently put them in storage because I moved from Valencia to Orange, and they're all in storage. And I was going to try to go to storage earlier today or sometime this week to just grab a random box and bring it so I could gift it to you, just to open it up. It's been 20 years since those things have been there. Who knows what's inside there? But at some point I might do that because it's just sitting there doing nothing. But I just wanted to surprise you with it. Instead, I brought you.
It's sad to see vinyl put away. You know what I mean? This guy just stocked up on vinyl, and he's loving every minute of it. He's got it all shelved out and everything. He still has about maybe 600 boxes to go.
Now, just to make sure, they work best when you lie them flat on top of each other, right?
I don't think so.
I'm messing with you, man. Of course not. They're all standing.
Well, logistics.
Right.
So, anyways, we wanted to get back to the show.
Yeah, how you did it.
Yeah, I'll do it real quick. So it's all about you. So I said to myself, you know what? I want to do a show. But you remember that show that was on VH1 called Behind the Music? Where Are They Now?
Yeah.
So I got that verbiage from VH1.
Okay.
So instead of behind the music, I said behind the headphones because that's what DJs wear.
Okay.
So I took that name. I did one show.
Who was your first person on your show?
Jack Monforte.
Okay.
He runs LA Grand Parks, our Live Grand, one of the two big park events in downtown, where Humpty Vision had his party
recently in the square.
Yeah.
So he takes care. He's a sound management for that.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay, Jack Monforte. So after that, I guess my partner just wasn't digging it or whatever, and he says, "You know what? I don't know who you are. My son passed away.
Oh.
I was out of it
Yeah.
for homeboy knows. I'm still out of it, but I said to myself, you know what? I want to start cheering up and do this. I was talking to this guy. I met him. We clicked right off the bat because some DJs don't.
Right.
And one day we were here at his house. The wife was there, and I was saying, hey, I have this show I did. I would like you guys to be involved. The guy knows everything. He's like I said, look what he's got.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I didn't know this, but he already had it, and he's been updating. And then he got the banner and said, we're rolling with it. So with my partner right here, that's why I say he's my partner, my brother. But behind the headphones now is us.
I'm sorry about your son, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. 32 years young, left behind twins.
I can't imagine that.
Believe me, I can't either.
When I lost my mom, who was my biggest fan, is my wife now. But when I lost my mom, it was during the time of COVID. It was like 4 weeks into it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that took a lot of people, man.
Yeah, it did.
Quick.
Ain't you kidding? Yeah, my mom was in the hospital 5 days, gone, just like that.
That sucks.
And that's because they didn't know enough about it. But losing your mom is hard. I can't imagine losing a child, man. So much props to you for going through it and seeing the other side.
Oh, for sure, man. Absolutely. Every day that goes by is a closer to I get to see him again.
Can I borrow this?
Yeah. Take off your glasses first. So tell us.
Yes.
Tell us about your family life. Where'd you grow up? What high school did you go to?
Wow, we're really going back that far. Okay, so I was born in a small town in Texas called Alice, not Dallas, but Alice, near Corpus Christi, Texas. So it's South Texas. It's the valley there. And I moved to Southern California when I was 9 months old, and my parents followed. No, okay, this is the other way around. But I did move.
Come on, Mom and Dad, we're going.
And
Push the shoulder.
we moved to Cudahy. And so
nice.
I went to, we were there. I went to Elizabeth Street School. It was the very first school I went to. And that was obviously a long time ago. And when we moved from Cudahy, we went to El Monte, off of Peck. And then we went to La Puente. And off of Allenwood Drive, there was a dairy behind her house. And that's where
Valley Boulevard. Valley, right?
No, it was. It's that other long one. It'll come to me later.
Garvey?
Probably. No. I was in
North El Monte? Like Peck?
Oh, I thought you were talking about La Puente.
La Puente, yeah. I used to live right there by Nogales High School.
We were over off of Peck, and I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So we moved to La Puente, and then from there went to Hacienda Heights. And my mom and dad bought a brand new house there. At the time, it was a 5-bedroom house, and they paid $36,000.
Wow, you can't find anything.
Yeah, it's probably worth 1.7 now.
Can't even find a car for that price.
And I went to Cedar Lane Junior High School in Hacienda Heights, and then I went to Glenn A. Wilson, not the other Wilson, but Glenn A. Wilson in Hacienda Heights.
Yeah, right after 10 freeway.
Off the 60 freeway.
Off the 60
freeway.
Yeah.
Over by Puente Hills Mall, where they filmed Back to the Future.
What?
Nice.
Yes. And so that's where I graduated high school, and how I got into DJing. For those, are they here to find out about that?
Yes.
Maybe.
Okay. So I love graphic design. I love architecture. In fact, I wanted to be an architect. But while I was in high school, I was the photographer for the yearbook. I was a photographer for the weekly newspaper. I was also the cartoonist, because in class you're always doodling. Well, I was always doodling, and so eventually they started putting my doodles inside the in the school newspaper. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to do for a living. At the time, Kiss FM was really big.
Oh, yeah, Rick D's.
Now, I'm going to give you the year because I'm going to date myself. I really don't want to
Hold
do
on
that.
to your chairs, people.
All right. So, in it was 1978. 1978, I was a junior in high school. No, 79. I was a junior in high school.
That's what Kiss was king. The
Yes.
radio and the band.
I was listening to Rick Dees. In fact, don't let me forget this story. I was listening to Rick Dees when I was in high school, and I would always get so excited when they would mention Hacienda Heights. Like, today in Hacienda Heights, it's going to be 76 degrees. I'm like, oh, I live there. I was so excited. And so while I was doing that, there was a thing called the KISS Broadcasting Workshop. It was KIIS, not KISS, but KIIS Broadcasting Workshop, and it was off of Vine in Hollywood. And it was like, it was just a program to teach you how to become a DJ. And so I told my mom, I think I'd like to become a DJ. Mm-hmm. And the way I found out is, remember when CB radios were out? No, of course you don't remember when. What was a stupid question? Anyway, a long
player.
Yes, a long time ago, there was a radio called a CB radio, and people would have them in their cars. And sometimes you would have a speaker, a PA speaker, so I could get on the mic and you could say things, kind of like the CHP does, pull over, that kind of thing. So we had one in my brother's car. And so we would go to football games, we'd play crosstown rivals, Los Altos or whatever, and we would drive by Taco Bell because that's everybody hung out at Taco Bell or whatever. And so I would get on the PA and then I would burp because I thought it was funny. Eventually I got the guts and then I started talking. And then that's when I realized, hey, this talking to people on a microphone, it's kind of cool. And as a kid, everybody has like something that you love and enjoy, and I enjoyed talking to people. And I actually had a music stand, and I had a little cassette recorder and a microphone, and I taped it to that, and I used to just broadcast on this cassette recorder. Mm-hmm. And I told my mom, I think I want to be a DJ. So she said, okay, mijo, but if you do this, I'm not going to send you to college. You're going to have to make sure that this is what you want to do. So I took 2 years of this KISS broadcasting workshop, and we broadcast locally, literally 2 blocks. But it gave us, on-air experience. And when I graduated high school in 1980, June of 1980, high school. Yeah. I graduated in June. By December, I had my first radio job. Nice. And again, living in Hacienda Heights, my grandma and my aunt and uncle, they lived in a tiny town called Victoria, Texas. I got a job at a country radio station. I didn't care. I got a job.
You just wanted in.
I just wanted to be on the radio. And so in January of 1981, I just barely turned 19 years old. Just barely turned 18 years old. I got my first job, and I moved in with my grandma and my aunt, and I became a DJ, just like that.
Nice.
So the funny thing about that was it was a country radio station. And you know how much country radio is played in La Puente?
None.
Yeah, it's like Howard Stern. Remember when he went to country in his movie?
None at all. And so back then, we weren't playing vinyl. We actually had reel-to-reel tapes. All the music were on reel-to-reel tapes. Whoa. And I had 4 reel-to-reel tapes behind me. And I had back then a computer, old school computer. And whenever I would start the tape off the computer, the reel-to-reel tape would play. So the problem with that, when you have a piece of vinyl, you can see by reading, okay, this is whoever, right? But with reel-to-reel, you have no clue. And if it got out of sequence, you would have no clue. So I would literally go on the air and I say, that's Merle Haggard on KCWM, the king of country western music. People would call up and they said, son, I believe that was Waylon Jennings.
Oops.
No clue.
Let me write that down with a pencil.
I don't know any of these songs. And so I worked there for a year, and that's what they told me at the KISS Broadcasting Workshop. They said, your first job, just use that as your college. Use it as your education. Yeah. Say yes to everything. Learn as much as you can in 1 year. Leave. And then go to your next gig and then learn everything you can there. So I was in that city in Victoria, Texas. I did mornings. I was on the air from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I went to the YMCA. It worked out a little bit. I ate something that my grandma made for lunch, took a nap, and then I was back at work from 3 until 7 in the evening. So I did morning drive and afternoon drive. So I got a lot of experience very, very quickly.
Especially with traffic reports.
In Victoria, Texas, at the time, there was only 70,000 people. There was no traffic.
Wow.
None at all.
That's a small town.
Right. So any questions about that before I move on?
Nope.
No.
Okay. All right. So
going good.
Then I tried to get I love snow skiing, and I tried to get a job in Colorado Springs. There was a job opening. And unfortunately, they were looking for a female, and since I didn't qualify back then, and you couldn't identify as anything back then either.
Back then. That's the word.
Right. And so I ended up, they said, we love your voice. We would love to have you. Oh, I need to talk about my name, because that's actually very important too. So as you can see, I'm Latino, right? But when I moved to Texas, on a country radio station, they said your name is too Latino sounding. So my birth name was Frank Rodriguez. They said, you're too Mexican sounding. Do you have a different name? And I'm like, Frank Alexander Rodriguez? And they said, Frank Alexander. So when I was at this country radio station, I went by Frank Alexander.
Got it.
Well, I didn't like that, but, I'm new. I'm like, okay, I'll do whatever. I just want the gig. So I ended up getting a job in Fresno from that, tried to get a job in Colorado Springs. When I went there, I said, I'm Frank Alexander. Now, I'm in the middle of Fresno. I'm in the middle of, picking, season. Yeah. And there was too many Latinos there. Frank Alexander wasn't cutting it. So they said, do you have another nickname? Well, at Wilson High School, my nickname was Paco. And so, in fact, my nickname was Paco Rod, the rolling DJ, since Rodriguez. Paco Rod, the rolling DJ. So I said, well, I have a nickname, Paco. So I was on the air at night there from 6 to 10, I think it was. And so my name there was Paco in the PM. That was my DJ name.
That's a cool moniker right there.
Thank you, Paco in the PM. So I was there for 2 years, learned as much as I could, and then there was an opportunity to go to San Antonio. Now, I told you earlier that I was
bigger station.
That's right, and that's the goal. Really, you start off in a small station, and then you work your way up.
Yeah, for sure.
So there was a nice move from Victoria, Texas, that nobody's ever heard about, to Fresno, and then to San Antonio. Now, I went from doing the nighttime show. The opening in San Antonio was overnights. This is 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Whoa.
This is not like the show that you want.
I can't wait to wake up at 2 in the morning and listen to this guy.
That's funny. But it was close to my family, and so I said, yes, I'll take the job. Well, at this point, my grandpa Lozano lived near San Antonio, and I was tired of the name game, especially because of my Latino roots. I felt like I had abandoned them when I was on country radio, and then the Paco and the PM, it was cute, but it wasn't real. So my mom's maiden name is Lozano.
Okay.
So I had a Grandpa Lozano, and his name was Frank. So I have Grandpa Frank Lozano, and so I thought, you know what? I'm moving close to my grandpa and my grandma. To honor them, I will take on the name Lozano, because at the time, Rodriguez was kind of the Smith of Spanish names.
Yeah.
Lozano, I thought, was more unique. So I went ahead and I said, I'm going to be Frank Lozano, because in English, it's Lozano. In Spanish, it's Lozano. In Italian, it's Lozano.
Yeah.
It's not like saying Rodriguez or Rodriguez.
Correct.
So I went with Frank Lozano, and that's where the name Frank Lozano came about.
And what year is this?
This was in 1984.
So just prior to your Power 106 days.
Mm-hmm. Yes, in fact, yes, you're right. So I was in San Antonio from 1984 until 1988.
Now, with your other employers, your other radio stations, did they know the name change too? If they wanted to ever look out for you again, if they owned something bigger back then?
Good question. I mean, I don't think it was. Well, it wasn't really a thing until I got to Power 106.
Okay.
So it's interesting you say that, because it was. Let me back it just a little bit. For anybody who really wants to bore themselves, if you look up Frank Lozano and the word jammin', JAMMIN', San Antonio, you will see old videos of me doing a television dance show.
Is it going to have the lines in the video?
Well,
that's how old it is?
It was, yes, because, I mean, in order for it to be seen, somebody would have had to have recorded it on a VCR.
Yeah.
So I used to host it. So I did radio, I did stand-up comedy, and I hosted this television dance show.
Nice.
So
Jack of all trades,
yeah,
right?
Well, yes. So there was a contest called the funniest DJ in San Antonio, and so I entered it. I thought, I think I'm kind of funny. So back then, remember Saturday Night Live? You may not remember this. Again, this is old stuff.
Best in those days.
Eddie Murphy did a thing called Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood.
I remember that.
Okay, so I thought Latinos need to represent. So I created something called Mr. Rodriguez's Neighborhood, and that was my stand-up routine when I did comedy. And so what I did was I came out on stage dressed like Mr. Rogers, and then I ended up changing into hat, shirt, just like this. So I changed and became a vato, right?
Got it.
And so the jingle I wrote was, "It's a beautiful day for all the hoods, a beautiful day for stolen goods. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this ghetto slum, a neighborly day for all the bombs. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I look in your windows at night so I can see you nude. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Look for a job, maybe get laid. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? And that was Mr. Rodriguez's Neighborhood.
Yeah, that was dope. Wow.
And so I won the contest, funniest DJ in San Antonio, and I'm not kidding, the very next day I got fired.
Wow.
What?
That's what I said.
What?
Thanks for winning. Get out of here.
The problem was, remember I told you I was doing overnights?
Yeah.
So I was in the least desirable shift.
Oh, yeah.
The most desirable shift is the morning man. He's the funny guy, right? Well, what happened was I beat the morning man from the very station that I worked at. So they said, you can't be funnier than our guy. So they fired me.
Damn.
Got it. Double standard.
2 weeks later, I got hired across the town at another radio station as the morning man, making double the money I was making before.
Nice.
Can I shake your hand on that move?
Yes, you can.
Paid
That's a
off.
hustler right there. A hustler move all the way.
Thank you very much. So that's why I did stand-up comedy. I wasn't planning on doing it, but because of this contest, I ended up doing. So in 88, it was summer of 88, my dad needed me to move back home. And you know how important family is, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Your dad needs you, your mom needs you. What are you going to do?
Got to pack up and go.
You got to pack. So I did. And so my mom and I went to the Hollywood Christmas Parade. Again, this is right after Thanksgiving. It's the weekend of Thanksgiving.
Dick Clark was still the host.
Probably so, yeah.
Right?
So we went to this parade. We were on Hollywood Boulevard, not far from Florentine Gardens, in fact. And I don't think Florentine Gardens was there at the time. No, they were. Actually, yeah, they were. So anyway, my mom and I are there, and the Power 106 float went by. I'm not kidding, because I'm a pretty sensitive guy. A tear started rolling down my face. She goes, Mijo, that's okay, that's okay. And I said, Mom, next year I'm going to be on that float. I took a cassette tape to Power 106 of what my radio stuff sounded like. Now I've got 4, 5, 6, 7 years behind me, and I dropped off the cassette tape at the front desk. And would you know that 2 months later, in January of 1989, Jeff Wyatt, who was the program director at the time, he called me up and he said, hey, Lozano, this is Wyatt at Power 106. I've got an opening. Do you want to talk about it? I said, I thought
You felt your
somebody was, I thought it was being punked at the time. You know? I'm
Is
like,
this Justin?
right. And so I said, yeah, sure, not a problem. He goes, okay, see you Tuesday. All right. I hung up and I started calling in some of my friends and they were like, well, what if it really was him?
Doubt.
I never thought about that. So I called the radio station back and I talked to him and I just said, Jeff. He goes, yes. What's up, Lozano? I said, just making sure. You said Tuesday at what time?
Yeah.
So it was
Backtrack.
like
Let me think.
It was
Improvise.
a for real thing. And I actually went on the air and I didn't tell anybody. I mean, I told my mom, but I didn't tell anybody else that I was going to be on the air because I didn't want to jinx it. So I was on the air. I did my
spoke too
on-air
soon.
audition. Right. So I was on the air from 3 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I dropped off my cassette and left it for him. And so he listened to it. And then he called me back. He goes, nah, it was just okay. Can you be maybe a little bit more hype? It was just kind of, plain. Okay. So I went on the air. And, man, I was crazy hype. I did all kinds of – I did. I love that you tied that in.
Someone comment, Lozano on the loose.
That's right. So I went wild and crazy. I turned the tape. He called me back. He goes, okay, that was too loose. He said, is there any way you can bring it, notch it down? So I did it a third time, and I got the gig. Guess when my shift was? Friday night, midnight, till Saturday morning, 6 a.m. So when you were leaving the clubs, you would hear me. It was overnight, but it was on Power 106. Oh, my gosh. You know how many people
It worked.
wanted to be on Power 106? So I did that for several months, and then another opportunity opened up. 2 a.m. Sunday morning until 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Again, when you're leaving the clubs at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
After you go eat at Rock and Roll Denny's or wherever you went, or King Taco.
Yeah.
People would listen. So I was doing 10 hours a week, and I did that. And then there was an opportunity. Somebody got sick, and they said, can you fill in for this guy? Yes. Can you, the production guy who does the commercials, he's out for a day. Can you? Yes. Can you do? Yes.
Yes.
I said yes to everything.
Absolutely.
And that's how I eventually worked my way up. I eventually ended up getting the nighttime show, which was from 8 until midnight at the time, and then it moved from 6 until 10, and then eventually I got afternoons, and then eventually I got mornings, and that's kind of how it happened for me at Power 106, just saying yes. being prepared for when the opportunity knocks.
Absolutely. And you never said no.
I never said no. Now, I was there from January 12th, as I mentioned, 1989. Though always stick with me.
Today's date?
Are you kidding me?
No.
Yes, it's the 12th.
You know the word in Italian? Get out of here.
Yes, today's January 12th.
I'm speechless.
Right on,
Yes.
dude.
Wow. That's
Thank
wild.
you, man.
Yeah. And so after, let's see, it was 1994. I had somebody reach out to me from San Francisco, Wild 107, and they offered me an opportunity up there. And I went to the program director then, Rick Cummings, and I said, and I was just straight out honest with him because he was honest with me. In fact, when Jeff Wyatt left and Rick Cummings came on as the program director, he actually took me to Dalt's in the K-Rock building in Burbank, and we were sitting there eating, and he said, hey, I wanted to have this special moment with you, and I think we should change personalities. And I said, okay, how do you want me to be? What personality do you want? And he said, no, I don't think you understand. We're changing personalities.
Oh.
And I said, sure, just tell me what you want. And he goes, how do I say this differently? We're letting you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Changing personality. You're a radio personality.
Right.
I get it.
And I didn't get that.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm not going anywhere. And he's the program, he's the boss.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I'm just letting you know we're going to get somebody else for that slot. And you can be there in the meantime. I said, okay, I'll prove to you I'm the guy for the job. And months and months, I think it was probably a year went by. They tried and they looked for different people. And Rick said, you're right, you're the guy for the job. And so I ended up keeping that job.
You stayed humble.
I do my best. I would absolutely do my best. And thank you for saying that. So an opportunity came up at Wild 107 in San Francisco. And I went up to Rick and I said, I got this opportunity. And he said, well, 3 criteria you need to look at. Is it music that you love? And they were playing hip hop and R&B. And I said, absolutely. He goes, is it a city that you've always wanted to live in? San Francisco. Yeah, absolutely. Want to live in San Francisco.
Back then.
Mm-hmm. And he said, and will they pay? Do they pay well? And I said, they're going to pay me double what I'm making here. And he says, bye. And so I went to Wild 107. I was there for a year. And it was a horrible experience.
Your boss kind of warned you then, huh?
He didn't necessarily warn me, but it was probably time, because at that time the Baker Boys were just kind of coming up, and so it was a nice transition. In fact, I had done mornings for a short amount of time. I don't remember how much time, and the Baker Boys were just on fire.
Yeah.
Fire. And so Rick wanted to try them in at mornings, and so they went into the mornings, I went into the afternoons, and quite honestly, I wasn't happy about it, because when it comes to radio, the morning slot, that's the big slot. But then being moved to afternoons, it was kind of like, well, I'm still at Power 106, and I wasn't thrilled about it, but it was a lot easier, because getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and having to do all this stuff for the morning shows was not easy. So that's why my transition back into morning radio in San Francisco, that was a cool deal. But I don't know I'll tell you, I'm going to be totally honest with you. So I was making like $300,000 a year. And so you almost needed that much money to live in San Francisco. Yeah. My 2-bedroom apartment,
$2,500.
$2,700.
Wow.
In 1994.
Back then.
It was
Dude,
Joe DiMaggio.
crazy.
Yes, Joe DiMaggio's old apartment. So Joe DiMaggio used to live there and had an unobstructed view of the Alcatraz Island and the Golden Gate Bridge. It was awesome.
Wow.
Hey, that guy's leaving the island.
Get him.
That guy just left.
But the problem with, even though I had such a beautiful apartment and I could afford it because there was plenty of money, the problem was it was the worst year of my life, because making more money doesn't make you more happy.
Exactly.
If you're watching this right now, I'm going to tell you one more time. Making more money does not necessarily make you more happy.
Which also means the grass isn't greener on the other side.
That's very true. Yeah. And so it was the worst year of my life because I worked so hard. And the beautiful apartment that I had that was in San Francisco, you can see Alcatraz Island. Guess what I never saw? Alcatraz Island, because I would leave when it's dark in the morning, and by the time I got home, it was already dark in the evening.
So yeah, you didn't enjoy yourself at all.
Every 15 seconds, I would see vroom, the light. Vroom. That's it. That's all I could see.
I miss Mr. J's.
So I ended up leaving San Francisco. I came back, and they took me back at Power 106. Now, all the full-time slots had been filled up, and so I said, I'm just happy to take weekends. So I got back onto Power 106 on the weekends, and I was there until 2002. So it was a total of like 13 years or something that I was at Power 106. And grateful.
So are we. Fans, yeah, tons of them. For
In
sure,
fact,
they're going to reach out.
I told you I was going to bring you guys something earlier. So you probably won't see this, but I bought you guys some of my business cards from back then. I have a drawer of memorabilia. So there's one for you,
Nice.
one for you, and then so that one says
Classic.
LA's Party Station on there. We went through a bunch of different logo changes, and then this is and
Two different addresses, too. Didn't you guys move in between?
No, we were always at 2600 West Olive.
Still there.
When I
right?
came back, though, not only was I just doing the weekends, but I was totally into the internet. And so this was 1997 or so. And I said, we need to have a website. And so they had some company out of Las Vegas doing our website, and they did a horrible job, but I learned how to do it. And so I became their internet program director. And so here's that business card.
IT.
Yep.
Nice.
So here's that card from my internet. So I created.
Man, you kept saying no, huh?
Yes. No, I kept saying yes. Here, is that one or two cards? Anyway, you take this.
Knowledge is power.
So what ended up happening? Yeah. Oh, thank you for So I did the weekends. Plus, I did our Knowledge is Power show with Sharice Brown for a while, and then Josefa Salinas, God rest her soul.
That's right. She passed away like a year or two ago.
Yeah, and in fact, her ex-husband Julio. Passed away like 2 months before her, or a month before him. It was like really quick.
Maybe a heartache, man.
Oh yes,
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that's how I came back to Power 106. And you want to know why I left?
What was
I
it?
needed a drink.
Was it dollar signs?
You ready for this?
Yeah.
I was too old.
Wow.
Now, you say that now, and there's a lawsuit or whatever, but literally they said Power 106 is a station for primarily Latinos, 17 to 24.
And you're not fitting it.
You're 40 years old. Mm-hmm. You're too old.
Wow.
That was horrible, bro.
Right?
I'm like, what? Too old. But at that time, I always say, I'm a believer in God. And say, God, if there's an opportunity and something you want me to pursue, open the door. If it's time to leave, close the door. And so that door closed. Right on. And so I literally, on my way home, driving, I was living in Valencia at the time, I threw all my stuff in the back of the car, I'm driving, and I said, thank you, God, for the career you've given me, because...
Absolutely.
You know, for what you saw, and you told me you used to call the radio station?
I used to
tell me about that.
So on Friday nights when you were there, you know, you're just so charismatic and outgoing and just all over the place, like the party scene and everything else. And you were someone you would want to listen to, you know what I mean? So you brought the fire to me at that age. So I was like giving you a call. And like I said, we would chit chat. Like I say, you took millions of calls, but we used to chit chat. You used to even put me on hold, and we would, you know, shoot the breeze, you know, maybe in 3 months span. And that was it.
So that's one of the things that I'm grateful for, to been able to have done that for people just like you. Mm-hmm. Remember Kool-Aid?
Yes.
Okay. So Kool-Aid, I met her when she was 11 years old. Wow. Her first name is Lisa. So Lisa would call. In fact, her first call, she called to prank me. She said, Power sucks. Kiss FM rules. So she naturally thought I was just going to hang up. And I said, I don't always drink Dr. Pepper, although I am doing that now. And she said, what? I said, I don't always drink Dr. Pepper. She goes, I don't understand. I said, what makes you think I don't listen to Kiss FM? What makes you think, like, if I, imagine I go to a party and I was, say, a butcher at Vaughn's or Ralph's, and somebody says, dude, I only shop at Albertsons. That would be stupid. So I explained to her, I said, yeah, why would I just listen to Power 106? I'm going to listen to K-Rock. I'm going to listen to KLOS. I'm going to listen to everything. I love music. And so she says, you're cool. And so I said, would you like to answer the phone for me? So I put her on hold. And then I said, when you hear a beep, somebody else is going to be on the line, just say Power 106, hello, what can I do for you? And so I let her answer the phones for me. So she ended up calling back over and over again. And eventually I said, if you'd like, you're welcome to come to the studio. Her mom brought her, I think her sister as well. Too much Dr. Pepper. I'm going to start burping.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. And anyway, so Lisa, as Kool-Aid, she fell in love with radio. And I gave her an opportunity to come and join us. And she loved it so much, she eventually got hired at Power 106. Do you know how awesome that makes me feel, that somebody who I paid attention to and listened to and engaged them, and it wasn't all about me. I made it about them because she was important. You were important. You were important. Everybody's sitting in the living room right now eating. What are you eating? Tamales? What is it? Oh, one of the sandwiches I brought.
Yeah,
the hat's good, huh? The pastrami's good.
Evan, if you're hungry, there's a sandwich right here.
Yeah,
over here, my friend.
Yeah, I brought, and there's some fries in there too. But it means something to me to treat you just like I would treat my parents, like I would treat my family. When we would go to clubs like Florentine Gardens or the Palace in Hollywood, I would get there and they would say, Mr. Lozano, we have a waitress here. This section is reserved for you. It's open bar. We have our microphone up in the DJ booth, anytime you're ready to go. And I said, you know what? I appreciate the open bar. That's cool. But I don't drink. So if you can just get me like a cranberry juice or orange juice, if you want, mix them together if you want to get crazy. Open up the section, let Becky make some money. I just need a table for two just to hold my drink. And I brought my own wireless microphone. I don't want to be up in the DJ booth away from the people. I want to be with everybody. Mm-hmm. So I had my own wireless microphone that I would take everywhere. Nice. Because I'm not more special than you. I might have more hair, but I'm not.
Don't let that hat fool you.
I'm not more special than you. So I just wanted to be there with everybody. And I think that's what helped get me tied in with people better, is that I tried to remember where I came from, Hacienda Heights, La Puente. I didn't want to be like other DJs that I had seen that were just so snob, like they weren't approachable.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You're kidding, right?
I didn't want to be.
You're kidding.
I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, anyway, so I'm grateful to hear that. Whenever somebody says, and I'll get text even now. I mean, there's lots of people. Remember Damien Young? Damien was one of my high school DJs of the night. I used to have a part of my show. From 9:30 till 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday, a high school kid would come on the radio and be on the radio with me, and I gave them an opportunity. Damien Young ended up being Mariah Carey's like a producer or something, but he was one of my high school DJs of the night. Right. Cool. Joey Boy used to be on our promotionals team. I think he's doing mornings now in Phoenix. I told you Kool-Aid. Jeff Garcia. Remember Jeff Garcia? Yep. I think he's still on the air. When I met him, he was the manager of a restaurant in Hacienda Heights at the Puente Hills Mall called Frisco's.
Oh, so yeah.
And so he's
the Hop.
Something. Yeah, it was that. Frisco's Hop. He wanted to. We did a live broadcast from there. And he wanted to know more about radio. What did I do? I gave him my business card. I said, "Here, bro." I said, "If you ever want to come by, here's my card. Call me." He came and he loved it so much he eventually got a gig, and he's still working in radio. You have no idea how happy that makes me, that people that were interested, I opened myself up to them and they made a career and a life for themselves.
Right on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
So I brought some stuff. Hold
Oh,
on.
here we go.
All right. Speaking of high school DJ of the night, I found this earlier today. I have boxes and boxes of stuff. So this is a list of high school DJs who were on the air with me, and this is dated March the 2nd, 1992.
I can vouch for that.
It's a memo to me, and it says, the following students have been confirmed for high school DJs features on Frank's show. Each student has been instructed to arrive at the radio station by 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday. All high school DJs will be on the air from 9:30 till 10. So I'm going to read off some names of some people who are older now, and maybe you know them. We'll see. Jeremy Miller from Studio City, Bonnie Toscano from Glendale Academy, Mark Brower, Fairfax High School. I think Mark Brower ended up doing something in radio. Jason Harvey, he for sure did something on radio. Hawthorne High School. Rick Borjas, Arcadia High, Arcadia. Jennifer Diallo from St. Joseph's Lakewood. Sabrina Rees from Temple City High. Andrea Hillman from Downey High School. Ruben Zuazua from John Burroughs High, Burbank. Loretta Cash from St. Paul High, Santa Fe Springs. Jason Rose from Eagle Rock High, Eagle Rock right down the street. Alberto Nino from Southgate High in Southgate. John
Southgate.
Lowe from Valley High in Moreno Valley. Victor Galam from North Hollywood High, and Larry Savala from Bell High.
Can you say that name from Southgate one more time? Because one of our good friends is Southgate High.
Alberto Nino from Southgate High in Southgate.
That was class of 92.
That is correct. Yes, right. Well, not necessarily.
Not the class, but that year.
Right. Because Larry Savala from Bell High School, when I saw this today, I was like, that name sounds familiar. Larry and I are friends on Facebook, and I think even on Instagram as well. I'm like, no way! So I took a picture of this and I sent him a Facebook message. I said, bro, you're not going to believe what I just found. Like the official memo with your name on it. And he thought it was in 1993. He thought it was his senior year. Turns out it was his junior year.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's dope.
Yeah. So hopefully I mentioned somebody that maybe you know or used to know. And yeah, so this is, straight from my archives of memorabilia and stuff that I bought.
What else did you bring?
Really? Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
You don't mind?
No, I don't mind.
We have a few more minutes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. How many more minutes we got? Because I am going to have to. This is
like 10 minutes.
Oh, man. All right. So I brought a bunch of Power 106 stickers and flyers. All right. So D-Light. Remember D-Light? Groove is in the heart.
I have the record.
Okay. So here is one of the tickets that we had for one of our events. And this was not only a ticket, but it was one of our Powerhouse events. Here it is.
All kinds of good stuff on it.
The VIP 5th Anniversary Powerhouse Back to the 60s Retro Party featuring D-Light and Bootsy Collins on bass.
Wow.
So
That's Bootsy.
That's okay, remember Club Jolt? No, I don't know what year this was. This was probably 92. Deep Groove Room, Hip Hop Room. Look at directly from Power Tools, DJ Richard Humpty Vision.
Yeah.
And that was Club Jolt.
Trying to get him on the show too.
Yeah. Anybody remember the Red Onion? The Red Onion in West Covina? Did you see that? $1 draft beer all night long. Heaven.
$1?
Yes. Heaven, Reflex, Action, Arian, and Jose V were the DJs that were mixing there that night. Yeah. The Red Onion every Thursday night. Be there. Heaven, Reflex, and Canon Entertainment. Frank Lozano, Red Onion, West Covina. There's the logo there. And I just have tons of these things. This is Halloween night at the Palace in Hollywood. It was called Nightmare on Vine Street, and I found this note.
Should have been on Nightmare on Olive Avenue.
This one says, "Hi Frank, like you're a busy man and can't talk to you for a long time. I'm writing this note to let you know that I'm interested in being a go-go dancer. Please call me if you can." And then she kissed it. Look at that.
Right on.
Unfortunately, I never called her, but
that was a text.
we used to have go-go dancers. Now, back then it was very innocent. They were just dancers. They would dance on the balcony and they would shine the lights. And
yeah.
Anyways, there's the club, the Jungle. Anybody remembers the Jungle? That was on Thursdays. Remember QC's and on Montebello?
I'm a Montebello boy.
This one, Dancing Saturday Night. Boris and Chris and Richard Humpty Vision. Mm-hmm. There you go, right there. Dancing Saturday Night. Stay Loose. Lisette Melendez. I've got Quiet Cannon. Here it is. Sweet Sensation. It's probably You probably can't even see any of these things. Oh, this is interesting. Anybody know Tony A? Tony A. He's from that Latino group. I think it was Tony Alvarez. It may come to me later. All right, let me just get through some of these. Now, here are some of the Power 106 bumper stickers that I have.
Well, those are cool.
These are bumper stickers. Look at this. This one's promoting Big Boy's Neighborhood. This is when it said LA's Party Station.
Right on.
Here's the Pure Energy Dance Now sticker.
The reggae.
This is when Cross Colors was big. Remember? Cross Colors. They had the really big clothing on there. Let's see. This is LA's hottest Power 106. And here's some. I did there was a store called the Broadway many, many years ago, and there's a flyer where it's got my picture on there and stuff.
Remember Bullocks?
Yes, I remember Bullocks. I remember all that stuff. I've got so much stuff you won't even. Yeah, I can't show it all to you.
Quick question. We're gonna go through these. What's your favorite food?
Cheeseburgers. I could probably eat and sushi. Although I don't get to eat enough because my wife is allergic to fish. But sushi, if they can make a sushi cheeseburger, I'd be happy.
Bandit.
Probably tastes gross, but yeah.
Did you play any sports growing up?
I played baseball. In high school. I tried to play football, but I was so bad. I wasn't on the freshman team. I was on the freshman reserve team.
Can you sit over there?
And I never played one game ever. The one time they called me in, I didn't have pads in my helmet, and so I didn't play. So that was a waste. I did all that running for nothing.
Yeah. I'm going to throw up. Okay, you made the team.
Yes.
Bandit, one more.
So what do you do nowadays?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, that's actually a great question. So when I left radio full time, I didn't finish the story about my talk with God. I said, God, thank you for the career that you've given me. If you can find a way to use the gifts and talents you've given me, I will serve you the rest of my days. Now, anybody that knows you can't bargain with God, He's God. Well, that's the promise that I made. And do you know that ever since then, God has honored that. I said, God, just pay my bills. I should have been more specific. I should have said, overflow my bank account. Yeah. But God has taken care of me financially ever since I left in 2002, which is now 21 years ago. And I have been to 36 countries. And working at the radio station, I did a lot of nonprofit events. You know, you said you came from San Pedro, so I would do nonprofit events in San Pedro, wherever. I mean, Garfield High School, wherever they needed me, Compton, I would go. I would be there, and so I got addicted to helping out nonprofits. So some of my gifts and talents include shooting videos and photography. So this is really a long story, very, very short. But for the last 3 years, I have been with an organization called Hope Partners, and that's the hoodie that I'm wearing right now. Hope Partners is an international nonprofit rescue agency that saves children from sex trafficking and extreme poverty. And yesterday was National Human Traffic Awareness Day. The whole month of January is. And so I'm their director of communications. So it is my job to communicate what Hope Partners does and all the children that they rescue and save them from these god-awful situations. And I make short films. In fact, I'm going to Costa Rica next week to film. One of our brand new centers is opening there. And, people say, oh, Costa Rica, it's so great. I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to the slums of Costa Rica. Yeah. We go to India, Romania. I've been to Ukraine a couple of times to help the refugees that are escaping that country. We have a place in Venezuela besides Costa Rica, Kenya, Sri Lanka. And so I get to go to some of these places. I put together these short films. Follow us on Instagram if you can. Hope Partners. It's Hope. And then I think it's _partners. I'm on Instagram as well. I'm on Facebook. We have a website, hopepartners.org. But that's what I've been doing the last 3 years now. And it blesses me so much because, I've been to Snoop's house. We hung out in his studio. I've been to breakfast with Mariah Carey. Ricky Martin came to my apartment, when I lived in West Hollywood. Those were all cool things. But I remember being in a desert in Africa. We had just drilled a well there. And they gave me a bottle of Coke. They don't even have clean water. They gave me a bottle of Coke, and I looked at our guide. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And they said, you got to drink it. Because it's like a week and a half or 2 weeks' salary for them to buy a bottle of Coke.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I'm drinking this bottle of Coke, and I'm looking up at the moon. I started crying. I couldn't stop crying because I was thinking, yeah, it's cool to hang with Snoop. And it's cool it's not cool to hang with Mariah, but anyway, it's cool to be in that situation, to see Lionel Richie, face to face, and, Mike Tyson and all those people. But there's nothing better in the world than being able to serve your fellow man in a place of their desperation. You help them, and they can never repay you back, ever.
Yeah.
But you're not looking for that. And serving other people across the street on the other side of the tracks, whether it's here in your neighborhood or someplace halfway around the world. Mm-hmm. I think we're here to help each other. And I'm glad that my mom, God rest her soul, was the one who put that in my heart to help people. We're here to help. Help that person. Yeah. If you've got a skill or something you could do to help them, because it will not only bless them, but it will eventually bless you. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm grateful for, and that's why your invitation, I'm so grateful for it.
You don't even,
Yeah,
dude.
we're honored.
We're honored, man.
Well, I brought you some keychains, and I'm trying to avoid this so I don't cry.
So
Check this out. See, here are a bunch of keychains. Like, these are the old Power 106 Lava Party Dance Now. This one is Stop the Violence. I'm going to leave a box of these keychains for you guys. I don't know how you want to give these away. I could have brought. I did bring, in fact. Look at this. I brought.
we could do a message 106 on Twitch and Instagram.
Look at this. I brought these cool jerseys that I used to wear. This is from Powerhouse 2001.
Wow, that's so cool.
Powerhouse.
Look at this. Right, somebody painted this for me. They airbrushed this for me back in '92. The guy's name was Mario. Whoever you are, thank you, sir.
That's so dope.
And notice how all these things are in pristine condition because I didn't want to mess them up. And they haven't been
There were
worn.
souvenirs to you.
Yes, they haven't been worn in 20 years.
Tide.
I have these cool jackets. This one says Power One. I mean, I have all kinds of stuff. And I actually have one underneath my jacket here. This is when Power 106 used to have a softball league. Look at this. It says Power 106 softball.
Nice.
Isn't that funny? So anyway, I don't know how you want to give away these keychains. How many people do you have right now? Maybe they just put keychain. How about that? If they put keychain in the
all the way up to maybe. How many do you have in here? 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so
no, I'm not giving you all of them away.
Okay, how
Hold
many
on,
give
let's
you away?
see. Well, do you want one? You want one?
All right,
Okay,
sure.
you guys get
Souvenir.
one. So let's see. I'll give away the rest of these here.
So
So how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I gotta keep some of these for my stash.
okay. So the first 4 people on Behind the Headphones, and the next 2 people on my page, our Bandits page, either
There you
on
go.
Twitch or on Instagram. Behind the Headphones, the first 4 that comment, that send a message, a DM, will win these prizes.
There you go. And the reason I brought the keychains, I mean, like, a keychain, really? That's all he brought? I wanted it to be something that could be put in the mail. So something you can put in an envelope. You know?
Absolutely, with our stickers and everything else. We're very grateful. That's
Oh,
for
you
sure.
have stickers?
Yeah,
Okay, look at that. You got me some stickers. Well, I brought you some Hope stickers. There you go.
for sure.
Hold on a second. All right, and here, again, visit us at hopepartners.org or visit, here are our Hope stickers. So I'll just put this in the mix as well.
There you go.
And then, yes, go ahead. Yeah, another
Frank, so I was
question.
going to say, thank you so much for all these stories. I mean, from the beginning of Heyday and radio for you, country stations, night and day, back and forth, better opportunities,
Right.
being you're too old and everything else, and still running with it. You're still doing things. You're happy,
Oh, absolutely.
super happy.
Yeah, super.
Especially helping people. Better to give than to receive.
And a lot of people will ask me, do you miss radio or would you ever go back? And imagine Tom Brady not stopping his career. Remember when he should have, when he won the Super Bowl, it's like, you should stop. And he came back one more year and they're like, it looked bad, right?
You don't want that.
I didn't want that. So when I left Power 106 full time, I'm like, you know what? There's no other radio station. I'm sure there is, but there's no other radio station in LA that I really wanted to go to. I did my best. I didn't want to cheapen it, because there were DJs who left Power that eventually went to like K Earth and other AM stations. I didn't want to do that, man. I was here, leave here, stay there in people's minds, and
Where'd you go?
pick something else that you can enjoy and excel at. So that's what I'm doing with helping other people around the world.
What was the best advice you were given younger and
To say yes. Just to say yes, because it's opportunity. Now, the opportunity may never come. When it does, because it may, you need to be prepared for it. But just saying yes and learning as much as you can. But I think that's an old school way of looking at it, because there's a lot of kids growing up nowadays that, you tell them to whatever, pick up the leaves in the yard. You probably wouldn't find any kids to pick up the leaves in the yard. But when we were growing, people had a newspaper routes, and then you cut the lawns and stuff like that. But I think kids today, they don't want to work that hard. That's too much work for them.
Yep.
They'd rather not. Yeah, they'd rather not work.
Thank you for saying yes to my invitation in regards to being on the show.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Again, we're beyond humbled in regards to your presence right here, giving away these little things, telling us about your story. I mean, we can go on for hours.
Yeah, because I got plenty more stories. Trust me.
We'll get you back on. Is that
Got
cool?
to do part 2.
Yeah, if you want to, not a problem.
Sure.
But we do it when we're outside with some carne asada or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, summertime.
Because I was the one who brought the food, and I could do some carne asada.
We'll set him up round 2 with Frank Lozano. Frankie, thank you so much for being on Behind the Headphones.
Yes, you're right. You're welcome.
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you, brother.
Power 106 Heyday. Next up, we have Evan Lovett from LA in a minute. He's been here right now. He's ready to go on. Give us a few minutes. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Did he get the pastrami?
Yeah, I hope so. He's eating right now. There he is. He's going to tell us all about it. Let's get into it, man.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Emergency. Call me if you need some love and ecstasy. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me and I'll show you what you wanna see. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me if you need some love and ecstasy. Emergency. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me and I'll show you what you wanna see. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me if you need some love and ecstasy. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me and I'll show you what you wanna see. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me if you need some love and ecstasy. Emergency. 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 You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me and I'll show you what you wanna see. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me ecstasy. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me and I'll show you what you wanna see. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me if you need some love and ecstasy. Emergency. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me and I'll show you what you wanna see. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me if you need some love and ecstasy. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me and I'll show you what you wanna see. You can call me if you want in an emergency. Call me if you need some love and ecstasy.
seen the live. That's crazy. I've never participated in a live event
All right.
except
so
in
cool.
person. Yo,
All right,
can
Bandit,
I
you
lower
ready?
this?
Absolutely.
How? This?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, you're on camera, not behind mic, so you're having.
This is great, though.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Behind the Headphones, Season 2, Episode 19. On the very first show, we had Frank Lozano from Power 106, formerly of Power 106 back in the day, telling us the stories about his life in regards to growing up, his high school days, as well as that's when he started becoming a DJ. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you have to have seen this guy because he has 100,000 hits on his videos on Instagram and Facebook, and he's getting awards today from the city.
Yeah, that's cool.
He does a show called LA in a Minute, and his name is Evan Lovett, and we have him on Behind the Headphones. Thank you for being here.
What is up? Great to be here. Thank you for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you for saying yes to the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Giving us. What was your big break
In life or for LA in a minute?
for LA in a Minute?
That's a great question. There's a few different ways to look at that. The first post that went viral, quote unquote, was the 10 oldest fast food restaurants in Los Angeles. So in theory, that was the first post that people shared, that it had hundreds of thousands of views. However, there were 2 days that stood out as far as having, let's say, followers, like a flood of followers. Number one was the day Eater LA, Mona Holmes, wrote a story on TikToker, bringing like history to the food, the culinary fans. And that was the first day where I had like 3,000 followers in one day. And you're like, what?
Wow.
That's crazy. Because you always hear a story. And I didn't set out to be a quote unquote influencer. I hate that term. Like, I was just having fun and doing it because I love LA. And I've always been somebody who reads something interesting, then I'll text all my friends. And now this was a tool to like kind of just tell everybody. But other than that, I went on KTLA last summer. And like, look, with respect to Good Day LA and Fox 11 and all the others, like KTLA is LA's home news, in my opinion. I'm probably going to.
Yeah.
So, but I went on that on a morning show. It was still during COVID. We did the segment outside, which was actually made me feel a lot more comfortable. And the producer prepared me ahead of time, and we had a good conversation with the host. And honestly, I get back in my car, and it was like 5,000 more followers. And then I was like, all right, we're really on to something here. So those were the moments that were like catapulted me into a different level. And then it kind of multiplies. I think my partner calls it the network effect, where once you get more, it's easier to get more. You know, like once you get bigger, it's easier to get bigger. So those are kind of the moments that stood out as far as like a big break. But again, in theory, this week was a big break because I signed 2 like important sponsorship deals for me and being recognized by the city council. So that's like a different level because eventually I want to do some pretty serious things. So when you look back and like, oh, Eater LA article, who cares? Like that's not that big a deal. It was at the time, but each step gets bigger and bigger.
Sure does.
As far as like catapulting me where I want to go.
So what's your ultimate goal when you talk about going to the next level?
Well, so for in a minute, I want to have a streaming show. Like longer form is definitely the next step, where it's a YouTube 22-minute episode. So right now we do it's called LA in a Minute, but each episode is basically 3 to 5 minutes. And I think it's a testament to the fact that I'm able to put in entertaining information in every segment. In today's attention spans, you guys know it. When I first got on TikTok, they were giving you like advice for creators, and it's like 8 to 12 second videos. Those are optimal. Mine are 3 minutes, and now 5 minutes, and people stay because the content is good, and because I'm able to pick out good tidbits that are not just informative but fun, and kind of tell them in a fun way. But I think that there's certain topics that I really want to delve into that deserve the 22-minute treatment. Again, like that's long form. There's obviously films. But, the true story of the water wars, or Mulholland, or recently tattoo culture in Los Angeles, hip-hop culture in Los Angeles. These are things I could do in 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But the 22-minute treatment, and here's the thing. Right now I'm doing everything, obviously, like selfie. I always say high-quality content, low-quality production, but that's what works on social media.
Absolutely.
It's authentic because I'm out there having fun and I'm exploring with everybody. But the thing is, to have a professional team do a 22-minute segment that's in theory like streaming, and whether it's maybe it's a Huell Hauser style, KCET, public access,
for sure.
I'd be happy with that. But ultimately, I'd like a very nicely produced Los Angeles centric. And people are always like, you should take this to Chicago. Chicago would have made New York. And again, initially when it first started having success, I'm like, yes, that's the plan. But there's so much in LA, and my heart's in LA. And I kind of think the authenticity, and here's the thing that I'm seeing, because you have followers worldwide, nationwide and worldwide. Everybody loves LA. Even people who hate LA love LA, or they're at least infatuated by it. And it's like, I'd like to be. So those are the bigger kind of aspirations, if you will.
So when you do all these stories, your LA in a minute, you did some about San Pedro and Sunken City.
Yes.
You've done a lot of stuff. How do you do your research?
Depends.
And how long does it take for you to do that 1 minute?
Here's a great example. So today, after we were at City Hall, we're driving out, and my son sees you guys go downtown a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know that sign? It's a sign tree, is what I call it. It's sister cities of Los Angeles. And there's probably, I didn't count them yet, but there's probably 18, I'd estimate, sister cities. Yerevan in, I want to say, Armenia. It's the only one I remember offhand. But the point is, LA has all these sisters. But it's this official looking like sign tree that look like street signs that are city signs. And you're like, I've seen that term, sister city, and I've traveled in certain places like, blah, 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 from our sister city. But I'm like, LA is like 18. And I'm like, what is that? So that's going to be an episode. To your point, and to answer your question, here's how it goes. Is like I see a lot of times it's premeditated. This one wasn't. But the ones that weren't tend to be more fun, if you want to know the truth. Because I'm genuinely curious, because I'm like, all right, LA has, and I've driven by that, never really thought, I've been like, oh, that's neat, but never like really thought about it. And I got to be honest, my son was the one who was like, what is that? Like, why is there so many? What's a sister city? Like, why does LA have so many? I'm like, these are great questions.
Yeah, you're intrigued.
Now I want to know. And one of my production partner, Casey, he says, these are like, you tell people the things they didn't know that they want to know. And that's kind of how my mind works, where I'm like, I do want to know like why LA has all these. So to your point, how long does it take to research? It depends on the topic. This one will probably be like a 90-second to 2-minute video. The rule of thumb is 6 to 8 hours per video, but that's from concept to filming to scripting to editing to doing the research to researching the pictures to writing the captions, writing the hashtags, all that stuff. But some take Whittier. I just did Whittier, and I got to be honest with you. I was excited. About this. Is the truth. I've been waiting to do Whittier because I do so many neighborhoods, and people are so proud to see their neighborhood.
For sure.
And LA has 572 different neighborhoods. That's not a typo.
You have a lot of work to do.
There's 88 different cities in Los Angeles City, but there's 572 neighborhoods, which is more than anywhere in the United States. And it's weird because I don't know how it is out here specifically. But let's say in Studio City, you have like Footbridge Square, and it seems like some like realtor made up, but people are like proud of it. Hidden Woods in Sherman Oaks. Like, get out of here. What's Hidden Woods? But anybody in Sherman Oaks knows what that is. And there's these communities, Alvarado Terrace. Like, so the point is, I'm going to do Whittier. And Whittier was one that people have been wanting to hear about. And it has a good history, and it's legendary, and I like it out there. I went to a Fideo restaurant out there, and I didn't know that there was a restaurant anywhere. Colonia Publica, it's called.
Food?
Fideo, like my wife's Mexican, and I basically known Fideo, and like it's cool and it's fun, it's hearty, but I'm like, simple. Damn, they're straight a restaurant like based on, and now that's gonna blow up. Birria fucking blew the fuck up, but like so. Either way, Whittier's like charming and nice, and Richard Nixon, actually not even, forget the quotes, a president fucking came from LA, came from Whittier. I know he was, stuff happened at the end, but it's still a president that came from LA. We got to be proud of that. Yeah, like him and Obama.
That's why he's buried in Yorba Linda.
There you go. And then Reagan and Simi Valley, which kind of counts. But anyway, point is, so Whittier, I was so excited to do this episode. And I'm like, I'm going to knock it out. And here's the truth. Like, Whittier has this kind of history that's a weird story to tell, right? It was started by Quakers, and it's named after a poet. And these are cool facts. Everybody likes history. And you go back to the indigenous.
Who knows that?
Exactly.
But here's the thing. Certain things appeal, right? Where When I did Linwood, the Linwood concept was Linwood, LA's City of Legends. Because
the McDonald's almost that.
That's Lakewood. That's Lakewood. And Lakewood, most important city in most influential city in world history, because Lakewood was the first planned community that actually worked. Like all this shit, when you see the stations, they didn't have all this stuff. They planned the houses, but they didn't plan the neighborhood.
Anything else.
Lakewood learned from it. Lakewood was the one that fucking started that. And again, like this is when oranges were the major industry. So I was like, dude, everything you know about the McDonald's origin story is wrong. And that was one of the first ones. I don't generally quote unquote, well, now I do a little bit, like market my episodes, but that was the first one that I'm like, dude, I got to do teasers. I got to do stories. Like I can't wait for people to see it. And this is right when I launched a YouTube channel. So they're like, go see it channel. So they're like, go see it exclusive on YouTube. So at the time, that was the one I might have been the most excited about, but they're all fun. I love news stories because I always wanted to be a broadcast journalist. Well, time out. I wanted to be a baseball player growing up, and I didn't give up on that dream.
Did you play sports?
Yeah, I played baseball. Fuck yeah. I was pretty good, actually.
Where'd you grow up at?
Sepulveda, North Hills, San Fernando Valley.
So you went to Grant High School?
No, Monroe High School, which, by the way, we had players drafted in 94, 95, 96, and 97. None really made it big. Although recently, Wayne Nix, who was drafted in 95 in the 4th round by the A's, he was busted. I should do a story on this. As the
It's coming up, people.
Listen to this. As the bookie, he was the first bookmaker. Dude, Puig was one of his clients. Put it that way.
Wow.
He had some big time rumors. Or De La Hoya was. I mean, not De La Hoya. I'm sorry, Canelo was a client. Okay. But he's already locked up. But the point is, Monroe actually had a good program. I played there during that year, 95. I went to the city semifinals. But I always believed I was gonna be a baseball player.
What position did you play?
Fuck. Okay. Do you remember how?
Shortstop.
You ever see Happy Gilmore?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember how he was a hockey player, but he couldn't find the... So I played catcher, third, center, but in my heart, I was always a pitcher. Okay, because I had a strong arm, but I could not throw strikes. So I could get mid 80s, which again doesn't sound like a lot, but at 16, I was
that's pretty fast.
Yeah, and thank you. And that in the 90s, that was a different story than now.
Absolutely, 80.
So I was a base, but I gave up on that dream way too late. I went to college because I graduated high school at 16, and then I went to UCLA.
That's dope.
So, but I thought that was an advantage for sports. It's a disadvantage. Now you know. Now, fucking hold your kids back. If you want them to be pro athletes, hold them back. It's terrible advice, but like that's what people do now. But I graduated. I was like, oh, it's an advantage. He's young. He has a strong arm. We can work with him. Nobody gives a shit. Like if you're not elite talented, I wasn't. You know, but I worked at it. Even when I went to college, I walked on every year at UCLA. And like I'm practicing, and I'm like, if I could just throw 90, I always thought like if I can just throw 90, I'll sign. What they used to have open tryouts, like the Reds would have a tryout in Los Angeles, and I know like 300 kids go, but they always sign like 2 or 3, and I'm like, back then again in 96, 97, if you throw 90, scouts are gonna look at you. It's a different era, but anyway, so I always wanted to be a baseball. But after that, when I finally gave up on the dream, which is when I lived in Seattle. I lived in Seattle for 1 year, and I played adult league baseball. I'll never forget. It was the second inning I pitched. I was like, yeah, I'll be that guy who comes from adult league baseball and gets to the pros. There's a guy in the Dodgers, Onelki Garcia, who did that. He started in like Sunday league, and he worked his way up to the pros. Different story. But
right on.
So I wanted to be that guy. So second inning I pitched, guy hits a line drive right off of my shin, like a painful, like this size bruise. And I was already like 23 by that point, so I'm like, all right, like that was the moment. And then I wanted to be a broadcast journalist.
So when the ball knocked you out,
that was the moment where I'm like, all right,
I'm not gonna
I
take
don't
this
need to
thing.
be
Never mind.
putting in all this. Anybody at the time until I got like the teammates, which was only like the second game I played. But what was the initial question that sparked that, by the way?
Have you played sports?
Yes. So baseball was my sport, but even prior to that, I think it was like some about journalism or broadcast. I wanted to be a broadcaster, didn't work out, ended up doing LA. So my favorite stories, there it is.
because I love breaking the news stories. So when something happens in LA, my best case scenario, this is when I get the most excited. If I'm walking to work and I'm checking Twitter, and by the way, don't check Twitter when you're walking to work or anywhere, because LA leads the country in pedestrian deaths, and it's a fucking serious issue, and
Don't run
it's
into the
funny.
pole.
I'm working with this group called Safe Streets for All, and at first I was like, bike riders, like I don't ride a bike. I got a couple friends that do, but I'm like, do we really need bike rides anywhere? And they're like, it's not just all about bike lanes. It's about pedestrian safe, and it really is. I'm like, holy shit, more pedestrian deaths than anywhere else. But as I'm looking at Twitter, and people are, by the way, dying because they're on cell phones, both drivers and pedestrians. So be careful, be aware. But I'll be on Twitter walking to work, and if I see a news story that breaks, that's when I love, like, where I'm like, something happened. And then I get to go into the office and just, like, start researching. That's what gets my, like, blood flowing. Right, like, I love doing all the episodes, but those are the ones that I'm like, this is the most exciting. Yeah.
Right on. Do you have any hobbies outside of
Yeah.
what you do?
Well, now it's all consuming at this point. We're going. Listen,
Consuming?
Show's yours.
so
Start consuming that.
this doesn't count as a hobby, but we're going to Vegas, and it's fucking exciting. I love that city. I always consider Vegas LA's backyard. Vegas has such a dope origin story. Vegas is LA knows/loves.
Too.
Hobbies, man. I used to have more hobbies, but now I'm working on LA in a minute and the podcast so much that it is my hobby because it is my passion. Everything, going around LA, discovering LA, exploring LA. That's what I do, honestly.
Right on. I saw your LA in a minute on Chili John's. What do you think about Chili John's?
Who's watching this? Because I'll tell you. Let me say one thing. First of all, I love their chili. Hold on. Let me get that out.
It's
I
fire.
fucking love it. I didn't even understand how good chili could be. And again, I haven't tried that many chilies in my
He
day.
works in Burbank.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I've driven by that place. And I'm like, dude, the hole in the wall spots are the best. So
The hole in the wall spots. How is there a restaurant in 2024 dedicated to chili? That was my thing last year. I was like, I don't understand. But because there is, you got to try it and you got to go in. And here's the thing. The chili was fucking awesome.
oh, yes, and then you can get it on like spaghetti, tamale, like dude.
Okay, so here's a funny story. And I probably shouldn't. I mean, look, I'll fuck that.
Yeah. This is you.
So they were asking me to come in. Can you do a story? Can you do a story? Can you do a story?
Who was?
Chili John's.
Okay,
So like
they're
they're
hitting you
like, dude,
up.
it'd be dope. And I was like, Chili John. And again, I drove by and I'm like Burbank.
Doesn't have curb appeal.
No,
Not at all.
No. But it does have curb. It looks like a movie
It
set.
looks like a diner, like back. Like,
From 63.
yeah.
It looks like a diner that would be in Back to the Future. Like it's like a
Correct.
No
movie
wonder why they
set
filmed
looking
there.
diner. Yes, exactly. And I'm like, fuck, okay, I'll go in. But it took me like 3 months to get around to because it wasn't a priority. But when I looked into the history, here's the funny thing. This is what I love about Chili John's besides the actual chili. Is that recipe goes back to the
1921. Oh, okay.
No, 1880s,
Yeah.
1890s. The guy, I forget his name, but there was a Chili John. He was in Wisconsin. He was an immigrant from
Chili.
no, from one of the Eastern European countries. Shit, I forget which one. I
Yugoslavia,
apologize.
Hungary.
Something like that. But
Yeah.
he somehow immigrated to Wisconsin. There were cowboys at the time, and like that's what they'd cook up. And he got a genuine like cowboy recipe. Went back to Wisconsin, had a saloon, started selling the chili out of the saloon, and then the chili became the most popular thing. So he became known as Chili John and opened his own restaurant
That's
like
so
1913 or whatever. And then the Burbank one opened in 1946 because it was his son and his son's wife. Not laughing at this, but his son's wife was suffering from tuberculosis or some kind of. And the reason I'm laughing, not at that, but because so many people came to Los Angeles for health, and I always read all this stuff from the 19th century, early 20th century, and it's so funny that health tourism is really one of the industries that made LA blossom, and it's kind of funny because now LA still has
Never knew that.
has the reputation as
Interesting.
like healthy and yoga and vegan, all this
Yeah,
shit.
for sure.
But people, the Chamber of Commerce in the 1880s and 1890s, forget the name of the two guys. There's two guys behind it. But they started sending out pamphlets, hundreds of thousands of pamphlets to the Midwest. And think about this. These motherfuckers in the Midwest and the East Coast are freezing their balls off. And they're like, oh, this is wintertime. And again, it was like illustrations back then. And it was postcards and it was pamphlets. But it was like, we got fucking oranges growing against a blue sky. And me and you, we're just talking about it's 37 degrees. I'm so cold. That's a fucking like spring day in some cities.
Yeah.
And our 37 also comes with the bluest, crispest
That's right.
sky, and you're like
All the stars.
And guess what? By noon, it's 62 degrees. You're like, this is fine. Like
Good
this,
job.
yeah. So these motherfuckers like put LA on the map, and people would move out in droves. And then when the trains came to LA, there was a train fare war that would bring people out for $1 round trip from like the Midwest.
Wow.
Which again, $1 was still probably like $30. But if you think about that,
Yeah, from
it
the
was
Midwest to
dur-
California.
it was
Wow.
dur- and people would fucking move sight unseen. And this is right as California and LA were turning into a mass transit rail town, like Henry Huntington and all that. So all these new towns were popping up, and like LA was, funnily enough, the mass transit capital of the world. But the point is, people would move out here for health tourism to be healthy year round, breathe that clean air, get that temperate climate, eat those oranges. And there were sanitariums and stuff opening up. That's one of the reasons why Palm Springs became so anyway, LA health tourism.
LA is the only place that you could stand at a certain spot and see the beach, the desert, the mountains, and something else all in one spot.
Right?
Beautiful.
Right?
There's no place like
You
it,
can
I
turn around and see
swear.
all four.
100%. And that's what we appreciate. Even driving here today, every time you take a different route, it's like appreciating like what the beauty or the fun of LA. You guys ever taken the Barham exit off the 101?
Oh yeah,
And
right there by Universal Studios.
what a weird shortcut. It's such a
Super.
cool like shortcut that it's at like a neighborhood, but it's businesses, but it's a hill, and then you end up in
there's-
Forest Lawn.
There's studios right around there, too.
so weird, like,
Yeah.
but like,
I remember
but
they
it's
used to park all those Star Wars vehicles on the side of the freeway. Remember that?
perfect,
Damn.
perfect.
Remember that?
Yes,
I would love to drive by with my mom when she would be driving. I was always like, man, I remember that in the movie. You know, your face against the window.
dude.
10 years old.
Good point. Star Wagons.
Remember that?
Yes.
That was always right off of.
What was the last? Run back the last question real quick.
We started with sports, and then
No,
what
no,
got
no.
you into this? What's
No,
your favorite
no.
episode?
Nope. After that.
I don't know.
Shit. Okay. All right. Go on. Continue. So I feel like I left a thread open. I don't. Chili John's.
There you go.
So here's the story. So listen.
Thank
to
you,
this.
John.
Dude, so listen to this. So long story short, way too late. They wanted me to come in. So I came in one day. And there was one employee there. And she was like frantic. Not frantic.
Because of your
No.
Or just in general?
But you can tell certain people are like, hey, come in, like blah blah. Frankly, last time I went there, the woman who was working there was so nice, so welcoming, so warm that I was like, oh, this is the Chili John's experience.
Coming back, yeah.
But the time went before that, which was the time I was going to do an episode. Soon as I took out the camera, I was like, she's like, whoa. She's like, are you an influencer? And I'm like, not really. Like, I tell a history of Los Angeles and like, wow, the Chili John's. She's like, no. She's like, we don't want you guys in here. She's like, last time an influencer came here, the line was around the building, and guess what? We're not ready for that. And it's weird, right?
What?
As a business person, you're
Bring
like,
it on.
That doesn't make sense. And I was like, shh. I was like, are you the owner? She's like, no, I work here, but I know
Yeah,
the
she's
owners
point
and I know
blank.
what they want. And I was
Yeah.
like,
How do you know
dude,
that?
I don't know. I was like, I was asked to come here.
And you're saying no?
That's
Dude,
crazy.
so it was really, and my wife and son were with me, and my wife's intuitive and observant, so she was like, this is weird. So we just ate our chili. I didn't do an episode, but we like ate our chili. It was pretty good, but it was like really weird. But luckily, the second time I went, it was awesome and a great experience. But that's why I kind of hesitated when you first asked about Chili John's.
Oh,
I was like, it was one of the weirdest, like, wait, but you're going to get new business and you don't want it? Like, are the owners okay with that?
So my next question is, I saw you. We were talking about pastrami sandwiches. So who wins? Is it the hat, or is it Felipe's or Phillips?
I was just there.
Yeah, he was. Hey, why didn't you invite me, Craig? Come on now. You know I love that place.
Have you guys ever been to Johnny's Pastrami in West LA?
No, that's one I haven't.
I've heard.
That's one I love. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, the pastrami is quote unquote better, but
What's the one on Alvarado?
Langers. Yeah. Oh, no. Okay, that's the best sandwich in LA, in my opinion, ultimately, and probably the best pastrami. But I like to rep Johnny's because it's kind of like out on its own island, and it's in Santa Monica, and that's the one I'm not even gonna say grew up, but I started eating pastrami in college. Not for like, oh, I didn't eat pastrami, but it was never like on my radar or whatever. And my buddy Tim took me to Johnny's for the first time. That's when I was like, oh, this is why everybody.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, dude, this is shit. You guys eat your pastrami and mustard?
Yes. Of course, pickles. A lot. You gotta drench it sometimes.
Okay. Don't. And pickles, great. Good.
Right?
Yeah, we win.
Yeah.
You know how to eat those.
If you take those out, that's like the missing ingredient right there. You know what I mean?
Okay, dope.
So you said
Philippe, though, the French dish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We just had that for sure. Oh. You said you're married and with children.
Yeah.
How long have you been married and how old your child are? Is he into baseball?
18 years next week.
Right on. Congratulations.
Wow, next week already. Thank you. My son is 10. Yeah, it's so funny. He's a really good baseball player, but he doesn't love baseball. I loved it. I was the guy. Honestly.
I feel you on that one. My son's the same way, bro.
Yeah.
So
I would play 366 days a year in a league. Like
February 29th.
Me and my buddy Jared, we'd find a tape ball, a tennis ball, a wiffle ball bat, like in the house if it was right. It's always baseball cards.
Even a tennis racket.
This isn't tennis. Anything you can swing. In the 80s and 90s, we'd write. There was no such thing as fantasy baseball, but we'd draft teams based on like our favorite players and then go out and like play tennis ball with a wiffle ball bat. But my son, he's an athlete, man. Like he was in track and field. That's his best sport. It's terrible for a young kid. So we're like kind of holding him back on that, but he's fast. So he's good at soccer. He's good at baseball. And he's a good hitter. But again, like he was in travel ball. He was in travel ball this summer. And it was too much. And not that he wasn't doing well. Like, in the his stats are good, but here we go.
It worked.
But he doesn't love it. So we took him skiing by accident. Not by accident, but we went to Big Bear. And we went with a group of people, and they were all signing their kids up. So we signed him up, and he fucking loved it. And he was known to man.
Are you sure, son?
And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I love it. When are we going back? And I'm like, shit. I'm all the
When the gas prices go down.
Skiing is hard, bro.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I did it once, never again.
Snowboarding, it's
Forget
not that
it,
hard, but skiing, dude.
Eating it in the snow is a lot different.
Thank
fuck,
you
dude.
for saying this. So people told me, like,
Yeah.
shit. You know,
Yeah.
like, whoa.
I'm going to crack both my knees right now.
So I went skiing in this same time for the first time, and they're like, "Oh, you're a decent, not good snowboard,ard, but I'm like competent."
Yeah, I just ride.
So they're like, "Oh, skiing will be easier," and I was, and walking, and I'm like angry. And they didn't want to give me poles at first. They're like, beginners shouldn't use poles because they're going to rely on the poles.
You're going to be
and,
and
I was like, I'm always going to be a beginner because I'm never going to do this again. So just give me the fucking poles. Like, that was what I was saying. But so I get out there on the snow, and sure enough, I'm like, drip, tripping and like falling. But
dude, just getting off the lift.
One step.
I did it.
And I was so pissed. And then finally, like, I went back and got poles. I'm like, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to try with poles. So I walked back in those stupid boots, got the poles, and I went on the mountain. And honestly, like, I'm athletic, so I could stay balanced, but I didn't know how to stop. I heard this pizza bullshit. They were like, pizza and French fries is what they tell you. Pizza, go like this. If you want to stop,
like
French fries, go straight. Bro, I was doing so much pizza.
You were doing spaghetti.
Chicago pizza, deep dish pizza, that new Detroit fucking pizza.
That Boston.
So I
Boston cream pie.
And you know this if you're a snowboarder. I was to stop. I would like die because I was going too faster than I was comfortable with.
Yeah.
And on a snowboard, you can like dive, and again, if you're athletic,
tuck and
you
roll,
land the right way, you land.
Sonny Bono slope.
But fuck that. And skis like get stuck, and then like
and then
it's
your knee
like
and
awkward
snapping
and everything.
yeah,
and I was like,
forget it.
fuck this. This is the biggest waste of money. Like, I hate this. I hope Felix, my son, hates this. And he's like, I love this. This is my favorite sport. Like, when are we going skiing?
Yeah. Can we rent a cabin?
Yes. So
Right on.
That's dope. So what's next? Any goals that you want to reach?
I'll tell you what.
I mean,
it's funny.
You mentioned the podcast, but
You know what I want to do? Okay, my big goal, my short-term goal, is to throw out a first pitch at the Dodger game.
nice.
Well, you'll get there.
That's what I like. My dad always wanted to throw out his first pitch at the Dodger game. He passed away in 2017, and it was weird. I wish I knew the context. He was the finalist. The Dodgers had some sort of fan contest, and there were 3 finalists, and he was one of them. And I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be great. And he didn't get it, but I'd love to throw out the first pitch. But I also want to be the voice of the Olympics in 2028. And I did just sign a deal for LA28 to do 2 episodes. So hopefully that's the first step.
Catapult right there, man.
Yeah. And then I do want my a streaming show. Like that's the big. But next also, and I'm excited about this because I just signed this contract today. I'm doing a Nike episode, and again, anybody who grew up in the 80s, 90s through current, understands Nike. And before I got into LA in a minute, I used to read memoirs of business leaders, whether it was Sam Walton from Walmart or Howard, I think it's Howard Berman of Starbucks, but Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, which was his memoir, was crazy exciting. And it's funny because business memoirs aren't, quote, exciting, but his was just awesome. Because as a kid, I wasn't a huge Jordan guy. I was a Laker guy, but you know what Michael Jordan was, and you know the Nike commercials were the fucking dopest commercials. I got
Spike
the
Lee.
Bows.
Spike Lee.
Dude, that's where it started. And then Bo Jackson, and honestly, I had the Andre Agassi. For some reason, I remember getting the Nike. They were pink swoosh Andre Agassi.
That was a thing, though.
It was a thing.
Sure.
But Nike, and of course, Jordan's forever. But so knowing what Nike means, and here's what's funny. It's all right, so Nike's this Oregon company, but here's the coolest fucking thing. Is Nike's first store was in Santa Monica.
Wow.
So even though the episode's going to be titled Nike, born in Oregon, raised in Los Angeles.
Beautiful.
So
Nice.
it's
The
Blue
Oregon
Ribbon
Ducks
Sports.
is sponsored by Nike.
Dude.
Phil Knight went to Oregon. The Nike shoes, their waffle bottom was created by this track coach named Bowerman. I forget his first name, Patrick maybe. But he used honestly, a waffle maker, and somehow, genius strikes. He was like, that's going to be a better tennis shoe because it'll grip the track or whatever. And he in his garage used a literal waffle iron to make the bottom of the first true Nike running shoes. And that was up in Oregon, all this kind of stuff. And then their first big athlete was Prefontaine. I don't know if you know him or remember him because cross country isn't a big deal. But for one shining moment in American history, this kid, Prefontaine, from the University of Oregon, it was 73 or 74, right after the hippie generation of free love, but he was still dazed and confused, looking long hair, hand
3 Dog Night.
super handsome, but that rugged bad boy handsome that all the chicks like. But somehow he was a cross country runner, which is not a glamorous sport. It's
Correct.
not a glamorous.
No.
But he was this bodacious, I'm going to set a record today. And American, we love that shit. I don't care what sport.
Too
if
proud.
you're dominating and you're an asshole, but
Showing off?
You're showing, but you're backing that shit up.
Absolutely.
You better back it up.
But he's shattering all these records, and this is when Nike was first developing. But the long story short was their first retail store, because running was still considered passive running, or not passive running,
Wasn't it on
Amateur
World of
running.
Sports back in the day?
it was after, but people would throw, and this is real, would throw banana peels or empty soda cans at people that would jog for fun because they're like, you fucking weirdo. Why would you punish yourself? I don't know if are you guys runners?
I do.
I run 3 miles once a week, every Friday.
I used to run when I played sports, but no.
Right? And every 3 miles, I'm like, who the fuck runs long? How do people do
It's
half
hard,
marathons?
26-mile
That's
marathons.
That's hard,
And in
dude.
2 hours.
Dude,
You gotta
that's
hate
hard.
yourself, bro. No, you gotta push yourself. But yeah, so Nike was a big achievement that I'm kind of proud of. So Nike and Olympics and the city council in the same week. This was a really big.
So
big
let's
week
talk
for-
about the the acknowledgement from the city council this today.
Yeah, so how did that come about? I know you did an interview with Karen Bass, the mayor, about a month ago.
It's fun. It started before that.
Okay.
So Imelda Padilla from Council District 6, Northeast San Fernando Valley, Arleta, Panorama City, North Hills,
Silmar.
Van Nuys, not Silmar, not Pacoima, not San Fernando, but my hood where I grew, North Hills, Van Nuys, Panorama City, Arleta, Sun Valley, a slice of North Hollywood.
Not Encino?
No. That's
what about Camelot? Remember Camelot?
This is a story. That's a story I need to do. Is the Valley almost became That's the next. Santa Clarita last year was almost renamed some crazy shit. I forgot what it was, and that was a fun episode. But the
Camelot, they wanted to change the San Fernando Valley. I think Encino or something like that.
No, the San Fernando Valley.
They wanted to change it to Camelot, the name,
and it would have been called.
That's history right there.
Dude, I gotta do this episode.
Who comes up with these ideas,
I gotta
bro?
do this episode. But wait, so we got sidetracked. Hold on, we were on something that was dope though. What was I just saying though? Hold on. Right before the Camelot, fucking.
What were we talking about? We were laughing too much.
Somebody tell us what were we talking about.
The mayor.
The mayor. Getting all your work.
Thank you,
Frank.
Lozano, Power 106 legend. Honestly, a lot of us grew up with you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So. Imelda Padilla's office contacted me and this guy, Oscar Urrutia from My Valley Pass, and I've worked with him a lot. Like, again, he does a lot of great for the Valley. Him and Valley Relics Museum are, like, huge because they focus. And Oscar does a lot of events, so not so much, like, post per se, but we've worked together. But everything, Back to the Future, which was filmed in Arleta, like the McFly house.
You just did the house.
Yeah, it was just pretty cool because I'm not the celeb guy or the Hollywood guy. I actually stay away from that. But Back to the Future is one of those movies where like that's fucking. And it was Arleta
and La Puente.
Dude, South Pasadena has got a lot. There's a lot of little niches that I got to get into that. But so she's like, hey, we want to draft a resolution commemorating LA in a Minute and your contributions to Los Angeles. And I was like, I don't know what that really means, but that's fucking awesome. Because I've been working with some council district offices about, thank you, by the way, listen, so this year, 2024, it's an election year. I've always been civic oriented, but I'm trying intentionally this year, even though people don't love, fuck politics, what are you talking about? No, it's important. It's part of LA. So every week I'm highlighting a different council district. So I work with a lot of council district offices, and I've seen some episodes. I've got feedback from some, but they were like, hey, we'd like you to do an episode eventually, but first we want to give you a resolution for the attention you bring to the Valley. Because, again, people think L.A., and by people, I mean not people from L.A., but L.A. is Hollywood, Santa Monica, Beverly Hills.
That's all they know.
But I focus, everything else is really L.A. and what makes L.A., so that's what I focus on, so people appreciate that. And I focus a lot on the Valley because I'm from the Valley, heart and soul. So I've reported everywhere from a lot of her districts, which don't get a lot of coverage. So she drafted this resolution saying that LA in a Minute is doing positive things for the city of Los Angeles. Sounds like that's neat. I'm down. What do we do? So she was like, I need your guest list. I need your license plates. It's at City Hall. It's like, okay, this is a big deal. But I imagined that it was in a room. I pictured like 30 to 50 people. And it was like, no, but it was like no. I figured it's like a podium, but like 30 to 50 people, and it's not even a stage really, but like some kind of certificate. Mm-hmm. But it turns out, and I didn't know this, that it was actually a city council meeting, and all the 15 council people need to like sign off on it. And it was literally in like the city council chambers, which is pretty badass.
Hell yeah.
All
like,
wood.
In front, all wood and like high ceilings and a lot of like media, which was I did not expect. And it was they put on their YouTube channel and their socials, but like KNX covered and all this kind of stuff and like
well, you do this LA in a Minute in the morning.
I do, but they cover it as a news story naturally because the reporter who was there isn't like, oh, I need to cover this guy. This is because I still don't know the depth of it, and my wife was asking like, what does it really mean? Because here, I'll show you this certificate. So it's bad fucking ass what they gave me.
Is that what it's called?
So it's like fucking ass. It's like this certificate.
You got one.
Yeah, so it's like it's really a cool like thing, like a full-on certificate with a resolution signed by all.
Old school writing on there.
It's like see that, but yes, calligraphy, yes.
Right.
But it was a big deal. It was a bigger deal than I thought. So I was like very humbled and honored for that. But it came about because she contacted me. And look, you never know with politicians what the real intention and
Their
motivation
motives.
is. But I will tell you that all the council offices afterwards, introduce themselves, the ones that I haven't talked to. And I think that it's a testament to like, look, I don't cover LA from a bias perspective. I have personal biases, but I don't give a shit about yours. I respect everybody's opinion in that regard. And I've always come from the standpoint of like, that's not true. Certain people are like evil. What I mean is everybody wants what's best for their family. You know what I mean? So they have different ways of going about it, and they have different thoughts on that and different outlooks. But I'm like, all right, these people aren't stupid. These people aren't stupid. Because if you ask them and their friends, they're the smart ones. You ask them and their friends, they're the smart ones. So I try to report all the sides on that. And I think, like, from a political perspective, it's the only real way that I'd want to see politics covered. So I think that from the office's perspective, they see like, okay, this guy's genuine and authentic, and I want him to tell our story, even though their story's like completely biased.
Correct.
So I got to stay within the like, all right, what are the non-political lines of this? Yes, Imelda Padilla is the council person, but it's not about her, even though she is great. Like from a personal standpoint, I will say she's like fun, she's dogged, she's hardcore, she's like of her people. But it's about the district and Arleta, and like, come on, whoever talks about Arleta. I saw my first R-rated movie in Arleta. So like, I got a little bit of pride I grew up in North Hills, which is right there, Sun Valley. Like my wife grew up in Sylmar, so her district is like
I used to work
nexus.
up to La Tuna Canyon. I used to work right there.
Perfect, which somehow like
that's a history too.
It like seceded from Sun Valley. It's like not part of Sun Valley.
Yeah, it's like the horse area.
Yeah.
So
is
what's
full of horse
lower
shit.
Latuna Canyon? Is that somewhere different?
There's Big Tahunga. There's Little
Big
Tahunga.
Tahunga.
Yeah, I need to do Tahunga Sunland. That's a place I've completely omitted, and it's a niche like
La Cañada.
they're all that Flint, all that they're
Flint
like
Ridge.
that's a
Montrose?
that's an
Montrose?
area. Damn. See, these are the areas that I.
You have a lot to do, man.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Write
but,
it down.
but it's good though. People say like you're gonna run out of material. I'm like, no,
No
I'm not. I'm gonna be
way.
85, and there's gonna be thousands
Yeah,
of
I have
stories.
20 more episodes to go. I'm 87.
So my next question is, how did you come up with the name
Yeah.
LA in a
Oh,
minute?
I wish I had a fun story about that, man. The truth is, I know the concept, I know the origin story, all that, and I watched the first episode, and it's like I just said it. So I used to have a newspaper, all right? I'm a big newspaper guy. I get the LA Times and the Daily News every day. I love reading the newspaper.
What about the Tribune?
A lot of people don't
Remember that
get the
one?
newspaper anymore.
No, even fucking adults. Like, my parents.
When I ordered the
age
newspaper, they try to get me to do it online. I'm like, no,
digital
I'd rather,
because they make more money
I'd
on
rather
the
take
digital.
the paper, you know what I
They
mean?
make more money on the digital, but they charge less, and the LA Times business model is fucked, and they're struggling, but that's not the point. Point is, I get the Times and Daily News, and this series started because I used to try to get my kid, who was 8 at the time, to read the paper. Obviously, he wouldn't, because people our age don't even read the paper. But he was getting into TikTok, and I'm like, all right, you want to watch TikTok? I'm going to, like, read the paper. Like, not read the paper, but I was going to pick 3 stories that are important in LA. And this is when the mayoral race was first starting. So it's like, Rick Caruso, like, going to run against Karen Bass. And I'd say, like, 2 sentences. But literally me, like, holding the paper. Go back and look at my original ones on TikTok. But I watched the first episode. I'm like, all right, this is your LA in a minute. And I think it was just a natural, like, we're going to talk LA. Because I knew I wanted to keep it under 1 minute. Because TikTok at the time had 1 minute or 3 minute. And again, the advice was 8 to 12 seconds. So I was like, I can't go longer than a minute. That's just ridiculous. And the name just stuck. I mean, it's a pretty good name.
Yeah, it's catchy, bro. Everybody
And
knows
what about
it.
let's get into it? That's your new phrase. Let's get
Funny.
into it.
It's not new, but you're right. It was around July of last year. And again, because I watched some of the old episodes, and sometimes I run reruns of episodes I like, and I'm like, let's get into the history. Or like, we're here in Pasadena, and then it like goes to the next scene. So I think for me, I think anybody who talks a lot has certain phrases that are timing phrases or cadence phrases, whether it's or like, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And all of us have phrases like that. I think for me, the let's get into it, it's a way to have me transition where it works. And it is, look, I'll be honest, at this point, it is a good catchphrase, and I like it. I enjoy it. But I think it helps me put a button on the intro and be like, now we're going to actually start the episode instead of having like
That's
a
your start button.
rough transition, So, yeah.
Even the name of Los Angeles, doing all of that too, What a big transition right there too.
Dude,
that name was long.
Exactly. And look, I don't memorize all the material, so I'm reading. It's not even off a teleprompter. I use a Gmail draft. I'm such not a tech guy. But anyway, so I memorize some, but I always have the notes. So like for the long, complicated stuff, it helps me to like get back on track by saying the tagline, if you will.
Right on. So, for people out there that inspire and look up to, just like what you do and like your work, what advice could you give them?
Work hard. There's nothing more. I tell this to my son. I'll tell this to anybody who listens. The first rule in life is show up. It's the most easy. You hear that. But look around. So many people find excuses just not to even participate in whatever it is, even for their own sake. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do this. So number one, show up. Doesn't matter if you're smart or dumb. You're already 50% of the way there. The next part is honestly just, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Like I tell my son, he has paragraphs right at this point. He's only in 4th grade, but I'm like, you're going to have a 20-page paper in like 7 years. Mm-hmm. And you're complaining about writing 3 paragraphs right now. Here's how you do it. You start with the first word, or when I was a kid, when I used to have papers in school, you have a 10-page paper.
Right.
I'd start with the title page, and it doesn't count. That's not one of the 10 pages. But in my mind, 10 pages was like, if I get the title page done, it's almost bonus because it just starts the momentum going.
It opens it up.
And you're like, all right, now I got, even though that's not page 1, you're like, I'm ready for, again, get the momentum going. So it's just work. Look, not everybody could be Kobe Bryant and work like that. But work as hard as you can. Just do what you say you're going to do. If you're going to do a paper, if you're going to do an episode. So many people, I have this great idea for a podcast. How many people have told you that they want to do a podcast? I should do a podcast. But look, you're fucking doing a podcast and you're having fun, you're succeeding, you're growing. And it's like, you just keep going. My grandma, she used to say, keep going. She passed away a long time ago. Not that long, 2017 also. But one of her sayings was, keep going. Just keep going. Do it. It's hard in the sense that, are people going to make fun of me? Am I shitty? What's that called? Fraud, imposter syndrome. Yeah. All that's real. Public speaking is another one. Like I do a lot of public speaking, and it gets easier, but it's still hard. But the way you start is just by doing it. Like all you got to just go. And maybe you're not the most talented, and I'm not saying you're going to succeed, but whatever you're doing, just go for it, man. If you think you're going to write scripts, if you think you're going to build the next Watts Towers, if you think you're an artist, if you think you're going to make donuts, just do it and work on it and try to get better, and don't give up tomorrow and don't give up next week. Like, just keep going. But yeah.
Right on. Don't stop.
Keep
Lozano say yes.
Yeah, right?
Say yes.
That's what we're doing, Bandit and myself. Thank you so much. So you've done all these food places, a ton. You know what I mean? That's like one of your specialties. What's your favorite food? Putting you on the spot. Can you put that light on?
It depends on the context. All right, this is the truth. I always tell my wife I have like a dozen kryptonite. Sometimes you'll be like, "Oh, donuts, that's my kryptonite." Like
that's my kryptonite.
I'm on a diet, but like, "Oh shit, donuts, that's my kryptonite." I got so many kryptonites. But if you make me fried chicken #1, specifically
Pioneers.
Like
someone
honestly,
Southgate High said he loved your segment on Pioneer Chicken.
Listen, for everybody who doesn't know, I gotta say this because I'm responsible for. I mean, I'm not responsible, but Pioneer Chicken was about to take over the world in fried chicken. It was bigger than KFC in Los Angeles by the late 80s. And nothing went wrong with Pioneer. It wasn't the chicken. It was the fucking owner, Rick Kaufman, who was a good businessman until he bought a town next to Arrowhead called Blue Jay in 89. And he bought the city, and he thought he was going to make it the new Arrowhead, the new Big Bear. He bought the whole city. Think about that. Hotels,
I think I've heard of that.
roads, all this shit. And it totally fucked him up financially. So he started like commingling funds.
Damn.
He had franchisees, wasn't paying franchisees, blah, blah, blah. Listen to this. And I remember as a kid, because my dad used to always take me to Pioneer with their orange chicken and their orange
Dude, there's
boots.
one right here
And
in Pasadena, right here on Fair Oaks.
I used to go to the one in Echo Park.
Dude, there's the Boyle Heights one and the Bell Gardens
That's
one.
it.
Yeah,
Left.
those are the two reals. So all of a sudden one day the FBI came and they had reps at every Pioneer. There's like something like 389 in the Southwest, which is a pretty big fucking chain.
Yeah.
When you think about that time. And they all, like a simultaneous raid, everybody hands up, took the registers, took the receipts, closed down all the stores. And that was essentially the end of Pioneer. Pioneer tried to survive after that, but then they ended up selling off to Popeyes. So there's two left. But I will say the two left are still real Pioneers, and especially the one in Boyle Heights is fucking
Sixth and Soto,
exactly,
right?
exactly
Dude,
like
that
you remember
place is-
it. And so
Even
fried
the seating.
You know what?
That ingredient is can't be touched.
Can't.
be matched.
I
the
was
best chicken.
I was gonna say I like steak, I like sushi, I like burgers, but fuck that. Fried chicken's my favorite food. I'll just go on record.
Have you ever been to Dinah's?
God damn it. No.
What?
And I
Dinah's
regret it.
chicken
And I
is-
regret it.
man, that's
I
some
know.
good
And
fried
people
chicken right
ask
there.
about that. Really? There's one in Glendale.
Yes.
Yeah.
try
Right
it,
next to
try
my
it, bro.
down
son's
the road.
school.
Dude,
It's real.
chicken, the macaroni,
On fire.
get the lemonade. Yeah.
Here, the only place I've found in LA that compete, and I like hot chicken. That's a different thing, different conversation. The one place that competes with Pioneer for me is Gus's. They're
I haven't had-
almost
They're
there.
on Olympic.
I went to the one way out, so, like not
There's
even
one in
Burbank.
Burbank
It was
now.
like, wasn't it like past Burbank? Is it? It's way
Well,
oddly
the,
far.
The
was
one
like,
I know
this-
is on Glen Oaks, and right there it's like
is that Burbank?
Burbank, Glendale, right.
Anyway, I went to that one. I know that's not even the OG, but I was like, this
Nah.
is great.
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, but Dinah's, everybody tells you.
Oh,
about.
dude, try it.
Yeah, you got to hit it up. There's only one, too.
Wow.
Glendale.
And they have a history. People are always telling me
That's
to do the
right.
story on Dinah. So yeah, honestly, yeah, fried chicken's my favorite.
You know, you do the restaurants and everything else more in depth than like Guy Fieri does his diners, drive-ins, and dives, right? Because he just goes for the food. He just goes for the food. You're telling us about everything, the owners, what happened, their ingredients.
I always like to know the,
the history of the
stories.
city.
Like I think it's important. And in
Hey,
LA, in a city like this, where we all like, I mean, even in this,
LA is so diverse. So
it's
like,
so. And everybody has a fucking awesome story, and like LA's the city. You like
Would you say there's, like,
Armenians,
500
Koreans, Mexicans, Salvadorians,
Right?
like everything. We have more Australians than any city outside of Australia. More Thai people anywhere outside of Thailand. More Cambodians. Like again, these and look, there's always racism, but LA somehow fits seamlessly, and in rich neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, and everything in between, you have the whole spectrum of people, and it's. I think that's really special.
all diverse.
Yeah, I think that's really special. And that goes to the food. And that's why I like knowing the history, because the stories of why all these places started. And they all started in LA. Like, here's a funny one. Starkist Tuna. Nobody,
I remember that.
I mean,
It's still
I mean,
around.
I'm sure there's probably one in the fucking back of your pantry right now. From like,
Can't check the
man.
expiration date.
yeah. But
they
it's-
never expired it.
Right. But Starkist Tuna started in San Pedro, and like I don't know, everybody knows Starkist. Nobody thinks of a canned tuna company as an LA company, but
Yeah,
like
right?
I
the
didn't.
whole spectrum. That's what I'm saying. Like the whole spectrum.
Because I live in
of,
San
like,
Pedro.
LA. So Starkist Croatian. San Pedro has a huge Croatian
My
population.
landlord's Croatian.
So the OG Croatian fishermen were sardine
OG.
fishermen, but the sardines ran out in like that area of the Pacific, so they shifted to tuna, and then they opened a cannery, started canning tuna, and that became the biggest cannery in the world at some point. So
on.
and it's Starkist, but yeah, I love those stories. So I think the history is always important.
Even when
and
you did the
appreciated.
bridge, about the 5 landmarks, the San Pedro Bridge.
Bro, like
That's
that
the only one that's
bridge-
suspended like
that
that.
bridge is beautiful. That bridge is so
Like the second biggest one in Cali.
underrated, third, but so
I
underrated.
tried to enjoy the beauty, but fucking Craig was driving so fast. I was like, slow down, dude.
We'll be over this thing in 5 seconds.
Dude, and looking over and
And shout out to
seeing the
Omakase Make Show. That was the day we went to,
Zero
do a
back.
set right there. But yeah, the great bridge, great view. Yeah, San Pedro.
Dude, all the colors, like I think what people
Sunken
you
City,
think
it's a lot of stuff. Trump's golf course is there.
it is. I didn't even know that. Sunken City though, Fermin Park. There's that place, Busy Bee Sandwiches.
Oh, man.
Historic
Chori
little
Man,
Italy.
Chori Man.
Who knew LA had a historic little Italy, and that's in San Pedro? What? Like San Pedro's a crazy dope community. Korean Friendship Bell, but the port is I don't even want to get
beautiful,
started
man.
on that. It's beautiful, but it's the most important place in LA. Nobody wants to talk about it or think about it or care
What
about
happened
it.
to Portugal?
Oh, they're changing it to West Harbor now. It's going to be a new development.
What do
like
you know
with
about
Disney.
Portugal?
I just know they got good food there.
You ready for this? I was told by somebody, possibly my parents, I don't remember, for my like third date ever to like go to Portugal. And I'm a valley guy. And fucking San Pedro is
What a
far as
drive.
fuck from the valley.
It's not far. It's just the traffic, I think. I mean,
It's far, bro. It's LA far for
It's the last city. of
Dude,
LA.
from North Hills to San
Oh, yeah,
Pedro,
that's 1 hour.
that's far, dude.
Yeah, that's what, 60
And
miles
when you're
easy.
16, I just
Oh,
got
yeah.
my license like
Yeah,
9
yeah.
months ago. I'm like,
I'll be there in 2 days.
I'm all, and again, this is before, this is, I think, MapQuest, where you're pretty. I'm like,
Thomas Guide.
dude, not that old, but good rep. So I went, that was my
dude,
Portugal
do they still sell
memory.
those?
They do.
I have one.
That's a story.
Who uses them? Fuck.
Those are great maps, man.
Oh yeah, you can't go. Take you
go
straight
wrong.
to the desert.
Yeah. Page 637A5.
Yes.
Right on. So, what's your who are your favorite sports teams?
Dodgers, Raiders, UCLA Bruins. I know my UCLA friends are going to hate this, but USC Trojans, Clippers.
I don't know. It was just a Clipper game the other night.
I don't much care for the Angels, but I don't root against them. I know a lot of Dodger fans. I don't care. If they're good, it doesn't bother me. It's interesting. LAFC's fun. I got to be honest.
I want to check out a game. It
Not
looks
gonna
so
lie.
live.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. I'm not gonna lie and be like I'm a fan and I know the roster, but going to a game is the best fan experience in LA.
I've seen it,
And
and I'm
that
like, dude, I want to go check it out.
32-52 section is ridiculous. It moves like an organism, and the chants and people got pissed off about the flares and the fires in the last the conference finals, but I thought that was fucking dope, and I'd never seen anything like that in LA.
mean, that's
and
how
it's
they do it
probably
everywhere
dangerous,
else.
but
Yeah.
but I was like, wow, these are the craziest and dopest fans in LA. So I'm just keeping it real. Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by checking out one of those games. They look wild.
Look, go, do it.
For sure. What's your favorite movie?
Not a huge movie guy, never have been. Here's a funny story, going back to my baseball stuff. Is people always ask me, how come I never seen Top Gun? I never saw Goonies till recently, never saw Indiana Jones, none of the Star Wars. When I was young at some point, I was a baseball nerd. And I read somewhere that Honus Wagner in the 1910s was like, I never go into movie theaters because it ruins your eyesight for hitting. And I was such a baseball nerd. So I made a pact in myself at that day that I was never going to go to a movie theater unless it's a baseball movie. So I missed a lot of movies. But to all that point, here's the
What's
I mean,
your
obviously I've
favorite
seen.
baseball movie.
Okay, now we're talking. I got to be honest, Major League came to mind first.
yeah, that was badass.
Major
That was
League
a
and
good
Bull
one.
Durham are the two.
Yeah.
Like, again, there's so many good baseball. I'm even down with, like, For Love of the Game, Costner's late work.
Charlie Sheen.
Field
was
of
that one?
Dreams is fucking
was Major
ridiculous and amazing. What were you just saying right now? Major League 2
Charlie
was
Sheen.
fun. Dude, Major League. I'm going to have to say Major League, yeah.
That's a classic right there. I got a son that's really young, and I showed him the movie, and like, I caught him watching it by himself. I'm like, dude, that's,
How old's your son?
He's no, my oldest son is 14.
Okay, I'm going to show my son. That's a great move. By the way, do you guys know the Wesley Snipes story from that?
No,
So Wesley Snipes, who's also in White Man Can't Jump, another
Yeah.
great sports movie.
Another one.
Apparently, he's a terrible athlete, which I wouldn't
You
believe.
wouldn't think that, right?
So look up the story. They're the oral history of Major League. For the audition, he showed up in jeans and like shiny shoes. I forget what they're fuck up, but like totally he's like, oh, I didn't know.
Florsheim's.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't know I need to really play baseball. And they're like, no, motherfucker, like we want this to look real. Charlie Sheen was a varsity pitcher at Santa Monica High, and he's fucking legit. So they're like, we want this to look like baseball players. Tom Berenger was decent enough.
Yeah.
But Wesley Snipes, they had that like tryout, and he almost got cut. No pun intended, even though in the movie the same shit that happened. But he almost like got cut for the movie. They wanted him because he had the look and he was the right person for the character.
And he was probably the big stars at the time.
He actually played it well.
Next,
like,
I would have never known. Next
Right?
time you watch the movie, the only real baseball he's playing is either running the bases or when he's doing the uppercut into the fucking backstop Whereas we give me 20 for 10 push-ups
Yeah.
for every like fly ball or whatever. But because his baseball motions looked so unnatural, so like Wesley Snipes, like story, he almost wasn't in Major League because of his actual baseball
Wow.
ability. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy he got the role for Blade though.
No, I mean he's dope. I love
Yeah.
him. And again, like you said, Major League, you wouldn't notice that. He's dope.
No, I
He's
mean
super dope.
he seemed like he fit in perfect,
dude. That dude,
with the
whole
with the name they gave him
Pedro
too.
Serrano, like that movie is fucking dope, bro.
Oh man, that movie's a classic right there.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
What story that you had was the most rewarding?
Phew, that's a great question.
That's a good one.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I got two answers for you. Selfishly, it was Silmar, and only because, and this again, totally selfish. I fucking love Silmar. My wife's from Silmar. I'm completely biased. I was so proud of the way I put it together because it's like nobody ever thinks of Silmar. It's never top of mind, but it should be because Silmar has the aqueduct, which brought water into Los Angeles, which made LA. It has the landfill, which is where our trash goes.
Didn't
which
you do something
if-
about Kaiser starting
if-
something right there?
Just today, I did a Kaiser something. Kaiser started Panorama City. The same guy, Kaiser,
Kaiser
Permanente.
Hospital.
Yeah, no, Kaiser Permanente. Well, yeah, exactly, but the same guy. But Silmar's also used to be the largest olive orchard in the world.
Wow.
Silmar earthquake. Silmar had this mining disaster. Silmar still has fucking horses. Silmar has Gravity Hill. So Silmar, like, again, is this community. And again, it's personal to me. I rode my bike there as a kid. My wife's from there. But I was rewarded because so many people like what it like went viral and like I'm like Silmar, like that's great. I felt, but in a real sense, in a true sense of rewarding, honestly, Homeboy Industries.
Right in downtown.
Shout out to them.
I remember them from fucking Power 106, sitting here with Frank Lozano, by the way, and I was like Homeboy Industries and Homeboy Bakery, and I'm like that's dope, but you never really got it, and they give people who are formerly incarcerated
they give 'em a
second
chance.
chances. And the father Greg Boyle story, who used to ride his bike around Boyle Heights when it was, no pun intended, I mean, like, that was his name. It's literally Father Boyle in Boyle Heights, coincidence. But to recruit people and be like, and especially back then in the 80s and 90s, you couldn't get a job if you had an arrest on your record, much less jail time.
For sure.
And to see what that turned into, like with the bakeries and this huge organization, and when I was there, and like the tattoo removal and the counseling and like parenting classes and all the elements, music and art and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, this shit really works. And I'd heard about it for so long, but that was a really fun episode. Spent the day there, and I had the best chilaquiles I'd ever had at the Homegirl Cafe. Yeah.
The chips. They make the chips.
Right on. So
Really?
Yeah.
That's dope.
They make their own chips.
earlier you mentioned trying to keep it with kids going outside and stuff, and how do you feel the internet, you think it contradicts of us being in touch with each other? Because it seems like everybody nowadays just they're looking
You
at
can pass
their
by a
phone.
bus stop and everyone's like
You
this.
talked about it earlier, dude. I drive on the freeway and I see people looking at their phone. I'm like,
See this a lot, and I think about this a lot. It's terrible. I always say the internet is the worst and best invention ever. Well, the best and worst, I should say, invention ever. Internet was invented in Los Angeles, by the way. For everybody who doesn't know, Leonard Kleinrock, UCLA, 1969. The first message was sent between UCLA and Stanford. He was trying to send the message log in, but after the L and the O, the computer crashed. But it was the first message ever to make it out of a location. UCLA, 1969. Dope
Like the
story.
first fax was 18 minutes.
Yeah, really. See, I didn't know that. That's a great step. But I see it with my kid.
there it is.
There it is. Homeboy
That's
Industries right there.
awesome. Wow, Homeboy
That's some
Industries
memorabilia
right
right
here.
there.
Frank, show
Frank
it.
Lozano.
Wow, and he's got the. Oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Wow, there you go.
And Homeboy right there.
There you go.
Shout out.
They used to print our T-shirts.
That's so
dope.
dope.
I knew
No,
I had
good
one
stuff,
with me.
man.
Talk about history.
And a good team. But my son, I see it, and he's an artist and he's an athlete, but he would rather do screen time than anything else, and
Right.
it makes me sad. And to your point, in the car, we'll take road trips, or my wife and I like to drive around and be tourists in our own town.
Same here.
And my son's like, I want a screen. I'm like, mother F. Like, dude, I'm like, look at that. It's the San Gabriel's. It's so beautiful. You're driving on the 134. You're passing by Eagle Rock. You're driving by Eagle Rock. Or like this last year when it was rained like crazy.
Right.
And then it was so green. I never
Everywhere
remembered
was
it
green.
so green. I'm like, bro, you're not going to see. I'm like, I
gonna see
was
this again.
less
Hasn't been
than
like
your
that
age.
since the 90s,
Celeste.
bro.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, enjoy. So yeah, I feel like kids are more informed than we were. And there's something to that, and maybe smarter, quote unquote, but missing out on real stuff and real when you hang out with your buddies and all you're doing is playing separate screens. And look, I'm not gonna lie, we used to play fucking Nintendo till 6 in the morning. Oh yeah,
right.
we're asleep, and then you like,
And then blow the thing.
dude. Oh, dude, fuck.
Put them in the freezer. Put them in the freezer.
And so many, dude, that was the OG.
Put them
But
in the
like,
freezer.
so the thought of, and maybe it's just me being a parent, and they'll be all right. But I often have that thought / concern. Yeah, and it bothers me.
Right on.
Couple of questions before we go.
Yeah.
Are you going to evolve your show? Is it going to be something else? Is it going to be? Are you going to?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this, and you can hold me to this. I'm never gonna stop the LA in a minute, like short
sure.
ones, because they're too fun and I love it too much. But yes, the show is getting to a 22, like at least 22-minute style, where I'm gonna be third party filmed by a real director, cinematographer, that kind of situation.
Nice.
And it gives me more freedom because I'm limited in what I could do, and I don't know shit, and not everybody wants it to stay amateur. Look, it's cute and it's genuine and it's authentic and it is real and I love it. But I think that what I could do with my script, because my scripts sometimes start at 25 minutes and I have to cut it down to 3 minutes, so let me tell the whole story. Or I was recently at the a Rose Parade float, which I normally wouldn't give a shit about. I'm sorry. Like I've been asked to go before, even as a normal person. It's like, I don't care. I'd rather nurse my hangover and watch the parade on TV.
They put toothpicks right here.
But we went, and I was like, this is so interesting. And I did an episode on it. We went in Burbank, by the way. And it was at the Burbank DWP, and it was a really cool experience. And I felt that episode was like, I cheated people in that episode. It was a good episode, but I was like, this could have been a lot. Even though it seems like something you don't care about, I'm like, no, this is the reason why you need a larger platform, because all the people there are the story. It's not about the parade or the float. It's these people who volunteer for 46 years and they wait. It's January 3rd and they're like, what are we doing for the float next year? Like, you know what I mean? And it's their life, and it's like, it's a funny story. It's a good story.
Here in Irwindale.
And everywhere there's so many cities. If I'm not mistaken, there's 44 cities.
Bro, that parade is.
But that's where they put them together in Irwindale. You didn't know that?
Is that it?
605 and a 210.
Yeah,
No.
they weld them there, and then they ship them out.
Irwindale.
Do you know those things weigh 20,000 pounds?
Easy.
I had no idea. Bro.
And they're powered by a lawnmower motor.
Yeah. We can go a half a mile.
Dude, and that's the thing. Dude sits inside. The guy who sits inside and drives can't see. His only opening
line.
is at the bottom, and he has to follow
that line.
So it's like all these words, and some of these fools, like, they're so dedicated to the craft. And look, I'm not laughing. I'm not saying it's funny, but anytime anybody's super passionate about anything, they become interesting. Like Tiger King, or like just shit where people are fucking like fixated on shit. You're like, I would never think about that in my life, but like, because this guy is so passionate about it, I'm into it. Like,
It's
let's go.
intriguing,
And
you
like,
know?
yeah, it's like, so these people, so longer form, external, like, videography.
And how can they get a hold of you? I watch your shows coming up besides LA in a minute.
LA in a minute, and we didn't even talk about my podcast, In a Minute with Evan Lovett, which is fucking great. We have Mario Lopez coming on next month, which is big.
Nice.
We have Chris Darden, for anybody who remembers the OJ trial.
Christopher Darden.
Yes.
Lawyer.
Yes.
Dude, he was outcast.
He was so out. There was a lot.
They were hating
There's a
on
lot
that
of stories.
dude.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a huge story right there.
So podcast In a Minute with Evan Lovett. This one this week was with Letty and Jorge Peniche. Letty from Power 106. She's the morning person right now. Jorge Peniche used to be manager for Nipsey Hussle, and he's currently a photographer, entrepreneur. Great episode. But LA in a Minute, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, any platform.
Nice. I have no more questions. It's such a pleasure having you here.
Dude, awesome to be here,
Dude,
guys.
Likewise. Thank
You're
you,
the
man.
man.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate you.
shooting LA in a
This is
minute.
awesome.
Maybe we can do this again another time.
Yes,
Stories.
this is fun, man. This
Him
is
and Frank,
Thank
they
you.
gotta
For
come
sure.
back.
Yeah, Frank needs to come back. Evan, thank you so much for being
Thanks,
on
dude.
Behind the Headphones.
much love behind the headphones, literally behind in front.
Well, thank you so much. Episode 19.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for
season
watching.
2.
LA, love the
Frank
city.
Lozano, my boy Bandit, and myself, Craig. Thank you so much. We'll be back next month. Bandit's birthday's coming up, so he's gonna be busy. But we'll be back in February, so keep on the lookout for the flyer. Evan, Frank, thank you again. Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys. Awesome. That was fun, bro. Yeah. Where's the thing? This one?
Yeah.